Chapter 117. It's you, Dugu Sword Emperor. King Yi-mu asked with an ugly expression. Why is my disciple's sword in your hands? The Dugu Sword Emperor asked coldly. Yes. A fierce aura surged towards King Yi-mu. Under the pressure of the Dugu Sword Emperor, King Yi-mu's expression changed. Clearly, the Dugu Sword Emperor's aura was stronger. Master. Yan Wudi quickly stepped forward. Master, I lent the sword to Uncle Wang. Yan Wudi immediately explained. What's going on? The Dugu Sword Emperor raised his eyebrows. The pressure on King Yi-mu also lessened slightly. King Yi-mu felt better after the pressure lessened, but he had already lost all his face. Humph. King Yi-mu snorted coldly, venting his frustration. Yan Wudi explained everything to the Dugu Sword Emperor. Oh. Fling the sword. The Dugu Sword Emperor suddenly looked towards Yan Chuan. Yes. Yan Wudi nodded affirmatively. When he looked at Yan Chuan, his expression became even more complicated. From now on, remember this. The sword is your life. Never let it leave your body, and never lend it to anyone. The Dugu Sword Emperor said solemnly. Yes. Yan Wudi solemnly received the azure sword. The Dugu Sword Emperor returned the azure sword and looked towards Yan Chuan. His gaze was as sharp as a sword as he stared at Yan Chuan, who was not far away. His gaze was extremely sharp, but Yan Chuan did not move at all. He even smiled at the Dugu Sword Emperor. Fling the sword. Humph. The Dugu Sword Emperor snorted coldly. Hum. Hum. The swords of the surrounding experts hummed again. No one knew what the Dugu Sword Emperor was planning. Suddenly, a person's sword soared into the sky. Whoosh! A long sword soared into the sky. Swish! 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 The 50 swords around him suddenly soared into the sky. Ah, my sword! Why is my sword flying? Is it the Dugu Sword Emperor? The people who had their swords flying all around all revealed a look of panic. If his sword was controlled by someone else, wouldn't it be easy for the Dugu Sword Emperor to take his head? Swish! Swish! The heads of the 50 swords suddenly pointed at Yan Chuan. They turned into 50 streams of light and instantly pierced towards him. Boom! Just like the ones that were aimed at Lu Gang, they were all aimed at Yan Chuan. Moreover, there were 50 of them. The 50 streams of light were like 50 death talismans, pressing forward with an indomitable will, producing an ear-piercing sound as they tore through the air. It was as if they wanted to shoot Yan Chuan into a hedgehog. The sword tore through the void and arrived before him in an instant. It's over. The onlookers felt pity for Yan Chuan. Bastard! How dare you! Qing Long and Mo Yushi suddenly roared. Qing Long, White Tiger, and Mo Yushi acted at almost the same time. A wall of air suddenly appeared in front of Yan Chuan. Wang! 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 The 50 swords pierced through the air wall and continued to penetrate deeper. The 3 immortal state experts defended together, but the swords eventually all stopped. The closest sword stopped 5 inches away from Yan Chuan's forehead. Mo Yushi, Qing Long, and White Tiger were enraged. The Dugu Sword Emperor's gaze was cold and solemn. Yan Chuan, who was pointed at by the sword, was still expressionless. Even when the sword was only 5 inches away from his forehead, his eyelids didn't even twitch. Yan Chuan even looked at the Dugu Sword Emperor with interest and revealed a faint smile. Boom! Under Mo Yushi's anger, the 50 swords suddenly shot back. Dugu Sword Emperor, do you want to die? Mo Yushi's eyes widened. At this moment, Mo Yushi didn't know why she was so angry. It was as if she had lost her mind. Chapter 118. Miss Mo. Yan Chuan suddenly called out. Mo Yushi frowned and turned her head. Thank you. I'm fine now. Yan Chuan smiled. Yan Chuan's smile seemed to have a magical power that instantly melted the anger in Mo Yushi's heart. Mo Yushi calmed down and secretly sighed with a smile. Qing Long and White Tiger were still staring angrily at the Dugu Sword Emperor, but the Dugu Sword Emperor was looking at Yan Chuan strangely. You're not afraid of death? The Dugu Sword Emperor frowned. Yan Chuan wasn't affected by the swords at all. The Dugu Sword Emperor couldn't understand why this youth was so calm. You don't have any killing intent. Why should I be afraid? However, I don't like this feeling. Yan Chuan said indifferently. Oh. The Dugu Sword Emperor was slightly surprised. You are my nephew's master. I won't bicker with you this time. Controlling the sword with intent, illuminated sword heart. My nephew has indeed found a good master. I'm relieved that he's willing to become your disciple. Yan Chuan said indifferently. The Dugu Sword Emperor's expression became even more strange. This was because the Dugu Sword Emperor couldn't see through Yan Chuan. On the other side, Yan Wudi's expression became even more complicated. Yan Wudi couldn't understand why this Uncle Wang was so calm in front of so many immortals. Compared to Uncle Wang, he really seemed to be lacking a lot. Lacking a lot? No. Yan Wudi's eyes suddenly focused. He clenched his fists tightly. He no longer held Yan Chuan in high regard. In fact, there was even a trace of fighting spirit in his eyes. Sensing Yan Wudi's fighting spirit, Yan Chuan smiled faintly. Yan Wudi, follow your master and practice your sword well. I will allow you to challenge me once, but at that time, your name must resound throughout the world. Famous throughout the world. Yan Wudi had a complicated expression on his face. Yan Chuan gave Yan Wudi a final smile before turning to look at Mo Yushi. Let's go. Yan Chuan said. Mo Yushi nodded. Yan Chuan walked in front while Mo Yushi, Qing Long, White Tiger, and Lu Jin followed behind. They slowly walked into the crowd. Looking at Yan Chuan's departing figure, almost everyone fell silent. King Mai's face was completely swept away. Zhu Jiansheng's eyes flashed with admiration. The fighting spirit in Yan Wudi's eyes rose. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. In the military camp, Yan Chuan, Mo Yushi, and Mr. Monroe were all looking at Huguang, who was sitting cross-legged in the center. Around Huguang, silver light shone. Boom! A surge of violent energy exploded around Huguang, blowing away a large amount of dust on the ground. Huguang opened his eyes and stood up abruptly. As he stretched his body, a series of pa-pa-pa sounds could be heard. Phew! Huguang retracted his aura. His eyes were filled with surging emotions. Lord, your subordinate has reached level 10 of the Strength Realm, complete. Thank you, Lord, for your help. Huguang said excitedly. Although Mo Yushi and Mr. Wenrua had put in a lot of effort during this period of time, Huguang knew in his heart that all of this was facilitated by Yan Chuan. Ha, good. You also have to thank Miss Mo and Mr. Monroe. Yan Chuan said with satisfaction. Thank you both. Huguang also bowed respectfully. Level 10 of the Strength Realm is good. We're about to break through the final barrier. Follow me later. Mr. Monroe said. Okay. Huguang replied. Do you remember what I told you the day before yesterday? Yan Chuan looked at Huguang. Yes, your subordinate dares not forget. Huguang said with a serious face. Go. Just listen to Mr. Monroe. Yan Chuan nodded. Chapter 119. Yes. Mr. Monroe, let's begin. Mo Yushi looked at Mr. Monroe. Okay. Everyone slowly walked out of the yellow gas wall. Yang Zigu, Qing Long, and the others had been waiting for a while. The 3,000 soldiers stood at attention. "When Rua, let's begin," Yang Zigu said impatiently. Mr. Monroe looked around. The fog seemed to have faded a lot. He could even vaguely see a huge full moon in the sky. "The moon is full. We can begin." "Qing Long, send the signal," Mr. Monroe said seriously. "Yes," Qing Long replied. 2 green balls of light suddenly appeared in Qing Long's palms. They shot out along the yellow gas wall. Whoosh! The balls of light disappeared in the blink of an eye. They sent the signal to the powerful fighters around the gas wall. There were 8 directions on the gas wall. At King Yimu's position, there were a dozen powerful fighters around King Yimu. They all looked up at the moon in the sky. It's about to begin. Everyone was looking forward to it. "Lu Gang." King Yimu looked at his disciple. "Yes. The moon is full. It's about to begin. Others might not know, but I've received some information about this feng shui formation. Do you know why I took you in?" King Yimu asked in a deep voice. "Maybe it's because I'm..." Lu Gang didn't know how to answer. "Your constitution." "Ha, if you had a good constitution, you wouldn't have to take me as your master. You're already in the essence state," King Yimu said disdainfully. "Yes." Lu Gang's expression darkened. "There's a record in the book. The best way to get what's inside is to break through and obtain the will of the Alcade Star. Then, you can control the formation. You've reached the peak of the strength state. This is your chance. You must get the will of the Alcade Star. Don't disappoint me again," King Yimu said in a deep voice. "Yes. Don't worry, Master. I'll do my best," Lu Gang said seriously. "Good." King Yimu nodded in satisfaction. In another direction of the yellow gas wall, 12 men in black stood there. They were all wrapped in black robes. 2 of them were the leaders. "The moon is full, it's about to begin," the leader said. "You are a feng shui master. Naturally, we will listen to you here." Another person said indifferently. "I didn't think that people from the Dazhao Holy Land would also come in. They also have feng shui masters," the feng shui master said in a deep voice. "It's that half-baked Ding Wugu, right? How can he compare to you? You are..." "Ah." The man stopped halfway through his sentence. "In this area, no one dares to compare with me in terms of feng shui. However, the Dugu Sword Emperor is truly patient. He actually chased me all the way here," the feng shui master said. "He can't find you," that person said. "I hope so. However, Shinkun Kuroha, aren't you worried at all?" The feng shui master suddenly laughed. "What am I worried about?" Shinkun Kuroha asked in a deep voice. "That's Yen Chuan. You must know that you were the vanguard when the Lord forced Yen Tao and his wife to their deaths. As a son, Yen Chuan will definitely see you as a great enemy once he grows up," the feng shui master said with a faint smile. "Humph, he's just a kid who's still wet behind the ears. What's there to be afraid of? If it wasn't for the Lord's great cause, I could kill him with a flip of my hand," Shinkun Kuroha said in a deep voice. "According to the reports, this Yen Chuan has quite the style of Yen Tao. Give him a few years and he might really become someone," the feng shui master said. "We don't have that much time," Shinkun Kuroha said in a deep voice. Whoosh! Just as the two were talking, a green light suddenly shot across the sky. It was Qing Long's signal. Chapter 120. The Dugu Sword Emperor's purple sword soared into the sky, heading straight for the 12 black-clothed men. As the long sword was dragged out, the surrounding swords hummed in worship. "Oh no, he's discovered me," Jiaohu said. Stop him, quick. Shinkuin Kuroha was also anxious. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two black-clothed men rushed over. They drew their swords and slashed at the Dugu Sword Emperor. Clowns, how dare you stop me? The Dugu Sword Emperor said arrogantly. As he swung his long sword, it was as if thousands of swords had merged into one and slashed at one of the black-clothed men. Whoosh! The sound of the sword slicing through the air was ear-piercing. Boom! The black-clothed man's long sword was broken by the Dugu Sword Emperor, and he was sent flying. Defeated in one strike. In the distance, Qing Long's expression turned serious. The Dugu Sword Emperor turned around, and his longsword suddenly transformed into 100 zhang long sword energy, slashing at the other black-clothed man. Tisk! The sword was like a ray of light, instantly cutting off the black-clothed man's arm. Ah! The black-clothed man screamed in pain. The two black-clothed men were defeated in the blink of an eye. The Dugu Sword Emperor's eyes became even more arrogant. Poisoner, I've said 10 years ago that I will definitely cut off your head. You won't be able to escape. The Dugu Sword Emperor shouted. Dugu Sword Emperor, why do you have to force me? I'll give you everything I got from this great array. How about it? The poisoner Jiaohu said. My Dugu clan only needs to cultivate a metal sword. Although the treasure is tempting, the hatred is greater than the heavens. It wasn't easy to find you, how can I let you go? The Dugu Sword Emperor said coldly. He brandished his long sword and charged at the poisoner again. Bastard! The poisoner was furious. Stop him, stop him. The poisoner Jiaohu said. Another 4 men in black rushed over. Who below the immortal realm can stop me? The Dugu Sword Emperor attacked again. Poisoner, don't ruin this. Shinkuin Kuroha said anxiously. Normally, Shinkuin Kuroha would have had the time to deal with the Dugu Sword Emperor. Where would he find the time? Poisoner's expression sank. Shinkuin Kuroha, I'll lure the Dugu Sword Emperor away. Continue to do as I said. With that, Poisoner suddenly soared into the sky. Swish! Where do you think you're going? The Dugu Sword Emperor shouted as he shook off the 4 black-clothed men and charged forward. The 4 men in black also chased after him. In the blink of an eye, only 7 of the 12 black-clothed men remained. The golden dragon formed by the draconic vein energy recovered after losing the control of the Feng Shui master. It was no longer activated. Shinkuin Kuroha felt helpless, but he still led the remaining 6 men into the sky above the world-suppressing stone. While a group of experts charged up, another group of experts charged down at the Myriad Mysteries demonic lotus. What a treasure! What a treasure! The cultivator at the front excitedly charged into the black fog and tried to grab the Myriad Mysteries demonic lotus. However, as soon as he entered, he screamed miserably. Arg! His screams were extremely shrill, and many people stopped in their tracks. The cultivator at the front was surrounded by black fog. In the blink of an eye, his flesh and blood were rapidly melting. The black fog seemed to be melting his flesh and blood. In the blink of an eye, the cultivator became a skeleton. The Myriad Mysteries demonic lotus absorbed his flesh and blood. In the blink of an eye, the Myriad Mysteries demonic lotus devoured him. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a skeleton. The greedy cultivators in the surroundings retreated in fear. Only 2 people with high cultivation bases charged in confidently. Arg! Arg! Just like before, he turned into a skeleton in the blink of an eye. The Myriad Mysteries demonic lotus devoured his flesh and blood. How is this a treasure? It's a disaster, someone exclaimed. Chapter 121. Back off. Back off. No one dared to take another step forward. What a powerful Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. Yen Chuan said in a low voice. High up in the sky. Mr. Monroe had also arrived at the top of the stone of suppression. Begin. Mr. Monroe shouted at Huo Guang. Okay. Huo Guang shouted. Boom. The aura of the perfected strength realm erupted. Mr. Monroe placed his palm on Huo Guang's back to help Huo Guang trigger the heavenly tribulation. Buzz. Suddenly, a small cloud with a radius of 3 feet suddenly covered Huo Guang's head. It's coming. Mr. Monroe quickly retreated. Huo Guang stood on the boat and looked up at the black cloud. Boom. The black cloud exploded. A silver lightning bolt as thick as an arm shot down from the sky. Huo Guang's eyes lit up as he formed a sword seal with both hands. Break. Huo Guang faced the lightning bolt with his body. Boom. The lightning bolt exploded on Huo Guang's body. Silver light shot out in all directions. Huo Guang's hair was disheveled, and some of it was even burned instantly. Tribulation. Many of the confused experts in the surroundings exclaimed in surprise. Oh no. King Ye's expression changed. Begin. King Yi Mu yelled. He placed his palm on Lu Gang's back to help him break through. Buzz. A black cloud similar to Huo Guang's appeared above Lu Gang's head. The flying sword floated above his head and faced the lightning bolt. Boom. A silver lightning bolt shot down and collided with the flying sword. Boom. Countless lightning bolts flashed. Huo Guang and Lu Gang were fighting to transcend their tribulations. What are they doing? Why are they trying to transcend their tribulations at this time? Are they crazy? A lot of questioning voices came from all around. People did not understand why Huo Guang and Lu Gang were going through their tribulations. However, with 2 God State experts guarding the formation, it was obviously not that simple. The first heavenly tribulation has a total of 9 heavenly thunders. Prince Yan's seal art is indeed unique, to actually be able to transcend tribulation with the fleshy body by relying on this. Qing Long praised. The heavenly tribulation is a tribulation of the heavens, but it is also a gift from the heavens. How can it be wasted on external objects? Naturally, it is best to use it to temper the body. Only in this way can we lay the most solid foundation for the cultivation of the essence realm. Yen Chuan nodded. Boom. Boom. Flashes of lightning overflowed from Huo Guang's body. Huo Guang's hair was charred black, and his body was red from the explosions. Every time the heavenly lightning struck, Huo Guang's body would tremble violently, and he would suffer inhuman pain. Even so, Huo Guang still believed in Yen Chuan. He did not use any weapons to resist the heavenly lightning, and only used his body to withstand it. The 4th heavenly lightning. Qing Long counted for Huo Guang. Buzz. Just as the 4th heavenly lightning struck, a green light pierced through the tribulation cloud and enveloped Huo Guang. It was several times brighter than the surrounding starlight. The green light reached the sky and connected to the distant star, the Alcade. Great! Qing Long said excitedly. Buzz. On the other side, Lu Gang was also enveloped in starlight and connected to the Alcade. Great! In the sky, King Wild was also overjoyed. Obviously, both Lu Gang and Huo Guang had the possibility of inheriting the will of the Alcade. King Wild gave Mr. Monroe a provocative look. However, Mr. Wenrua turned a blind eye and waited for Huo Guang quietly. What are they doing? Is that the will of the constellation? How can 2 mortals inherit the will of the constellation? How can this be? They are just mortals. Noises could be heard all around. Gradually, people began to realize that something was wrong. Some of the smarter ones seemed to have guessed something. Chapter 122. Prince Yen, the experts from all directions are staring at Huo Guang with unfriendly expressions. Should we go over now? In case someone destroys it? Azure Dragon asked. No need. Smart people won't destroy them. They might even help them. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. As soon as Yan Chuan finished speaking, someone in the sky pounced on Hu Guang. However, halfway through, he was beaten back by an unknown expert. No one is allowed to touch them. The expert shouted. Oh, really? White Tiger was surprised. Why do they want to protect Hu Guang? Rosefinch was puzzled. Now, no one can touch the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. If Hu Guang can, those smart people will be happy to see it happen. Because if they can't get the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus now, they can take it from Hu Guang. Mo Yushi explained. I see. White Tiger nodded. Open. Another shout came from the sky. It was from the remaining 7 men in black. The one who shouted was Shinkuen Kuroha. Shinkuen Kuroha's aura suddenly burst out and rushed into the sky. Rumble. In the sky, a black cloud that was 100 times bigger and 100 times taller than Hu Guang's tribulation cloud appeared. The black cloud rolled and a doomsday aura was emitted. In the rolling black cloud, lightning flashed, and it was filled with endless destructive power. Someone is undergoing tribulation again. What kind of tribulation is this? 4 heavenly lightning tribulations, 49 heavenly tribulations. The surrounding experts stared at the sky. 49 heavenly tribulations. Spirit returning to void? Mo Yushi's expression changed. It's that man in black. He also wants to steal the Alcade's will. Qing Long pointed at Shinkuen Kuroha, who was wrapped in a black robe. The 6 experts protected Shinkuen Kuroha. Shinkuen Kuroha triggered the 49 heavenly tribulations. Buzz! Another green light rushed from the starry sky into the tribulation clouds of the 9 heavenly tribulation. As the lightning flashed, it suddenly enveloped Shinkuen Kuroha below. This time, the starlight pillar was at least 10 times thicker than Hu Guang's. Ha 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 ha. Shinkuen Kuroha laughed. This tribulation hasn't even started, but the Alcade's will is already so attractive. How can Hu Guang compete with him? Qing Long said anxiously. Don't worry. That feng shui master was forced to leave. With me here, the will of the Alcade star will definitely belong to Hu Guang. Yan Chuan laughed. Huh? Mo Yushi looked at Yan Chuan in confusion, but when she saw the determination in Yan Chuan's eyes, she unconsciously chose to believe him. Come on. Heavenly lightning. Shinkuen Kuroha shouted to the sky. Boom. 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 Following Shinkuen Kuroha's shout, 100 heavenly lightning bolts suddenly struck down from the tribulation clouds. The 100 lightning bolts were extremely dazzling. Like a waterfall, they instantly lit up the entire 4 directions formation. Boom! The heavenly lightning struck Shinkuen Kuroha. Shinkuen Kuroha's body seemed to be bathed in lightning, shining brightly. It was like the sun and the moon. Compared to Shinkuen Kuroha, Hu Guang and Lu Gang's lightning bolts were too weak. The starlight around Shinkuen Kuroha grew brighter and brighter. Prince Yen and the will of the Alcade star are almost there. What should we do now? Qing Long asked anxiously. Yan Chuan turned to look at the 3,000 silver armors. Crossbows at the ready. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes. The entire army quickly drew their bows. Aim at the largest black cloud and shoot. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes. Boom. More than 2,000 arrows were shot up. These ordinary arrows? Are they useful? White Tiger asked in disbelief. Lightning rod. Have you heard of it? Yan Chuan smiled. Huh? White Tiger was stunned. My arrow rain is now a lightning rod. It will disperse the heavenly lightning and help him pass the tribulation. Yan Chuan said confidently. Chapter 123. My arrow rain is now a lightning rod. It will disperse his heavenly lightning and help him pass the tribulation. Yan Chuan said confidently. More than 2,000 arrows soared into the sky, but they didn't hit anyone. Many people didn't know what was going on and only looked at them curiously. Even Shinkun Kuroha did not care about the 2,000 arrows. Boom! More than 2,000 arrows successfully pierced through the clouds and mist, straight up into the sky. They were getting closer and closer to the 4-in-9 tribulation clouds. The tip of the arrow suddenly trembled slightly, as if it had felt a huge magnetic field. Crackle! A strange electric current appeared at the tip. More than 2,000 arrows rained down, and every arrow was the same. And what caused the electromagnetic phenomenon of the arrowhead was the 4-9 tribulation clouds. Not good. Shinkun Kuroha's expression changed drastically. By the time he reached out to stop her, it was already too late. Boom! Within the 4-9 tribulation clouds, a large amount of lightning was suddenly attracted by the arrow rain. The lightning was very thin, but it was divided into more than 2,000 strands. Boom! 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 Bolts of lightning blasted towards the rain of arrows, causing them to explode. The rain of arrows diverted the heavenly tribulation. Although it was only a drop in the bucket, this drop in the bucket caused Shinkun Kuroha to reveal a look of despair. Very little of the lightning was split, but the will of the stars connected to the tribulation cloud was split into more than 2,000 equal parts in an instant. The starlight that enveloped Shinkun Kuroha was suddenly reduced to 1,000th of its original size. In the blink of an eye, the huge advantage they had was gone. No! Shinkun Kuroha roared in grief and indignation. Boom! More than 2,000 arrows exploded, but it didn't have much effect on the heavenly tribulation. However, because the starlight was diverted, there was only 1,000th of the original amount left. The arrows exploded, and the starlight was all retracted. The amount of astral power that the 4-9's tribulation clouds had attracted was less than 1% of Huguang's. The thin beam of starlight showed Shinkun Kuroha's defeat. Rumble. Shinkun Kuroha was filled with grief and indignation. Pa! While he was lamenting in his heart, his hat was also blown off by the heavenly thunder, revealing Shinkun Kuroha's gloomy face. Shinkun Kuroha looked in the direction of Yan Chuan while blocking the second wave of heavenly thunder. A bunch of ordinary dogs? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Shinkun Kuroha roared. Old bastard, hey you! A loud shout suddenly came from afar. Yan Chuan looked over and saw Zhujiansheng running towards him with an angry expression. Mo Yushi frowned. Junior brother Yan Chuan, it's him, Shinkun Kuroha. He was one of the people who forced your parents to their deaths. Zhujiansheng quickly shot over. What? Lu Jin exclaimed. He raised his head and stared at the sky. Zhujiansheng landed in front of Yan Chuan with his sword. Junior brother Yan Chuan, I'll follow you, just in case. Zhujiansheng said sincerely. Zhujiansheng saw Shinkun Kuroha. He was here to protect Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan nodded slightly. At the same time, he looked at Shinkun Kuroha in the sky again. A murderous look flashed across his eyes. Prince Yan, do you want us to? Qing Long asked. No, I want to take revenge with my own hands. Besides, I haven't figured out what's going on here. Yan Chuan shook his head. Boom! Each wave of heavenly thunder was stronger than the previous one. Shinkun Kuroha was no longer in the mood to be angry with the 3,000 silver armors. Instead, he focused on resisting the heavenly thunder. Yan Chuan took a deep look at Shinkun Kuroha again, then turned to Huguang. Shinkun Kuroha's heavenly thunder was fierce. Huguang and Lu Gang's heavenly thunder were still in order. Chapter 124. Boom! Huguang looked like he was about to be cooked. His whole body was red from the lightning. This is the 8th lightning. Huoguang still has one more, but the will of the stars is still lingering between Huoguang and that person. Prince Yan. Qinglong frowned and asked. The will of the Alcade? It must be Huoguang's. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Yan Chuan raised his head and looked at the starry sky. He immediately saw the Alcade star. Following the Alcade, Yan Chuan quickly found the other brightest star. The North Star, also known as the North Star, was the ruler of numbers and the star of emperors. Staring at the North Star, Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes. It was as if he had a connection with the North Star. Buzz! The North Star flashed slightly. A ray of light shot towards the Alcade. Of course, no one could see this except for the host of the star. It was too faint and too far away. In his previous life, Yan Chuan's will had merged with the will of the North Star. In this life, his soul was still in his previous life, so naturally, his will could also connect with the North Star. The North Star was the ruler of numbers, so it naturally commanded the Alcade. Although the effect on the Alcade was limited, it was still possible to tilt the balance slightly when it came to choosing one. Boom! The last bolt of heavenly lightning blasted towards Huoguang. At the same time, all the stars in the surroundings suddenly gathered towards Huoguang. A ray of white light shot down from the Alcade and went straight towards Huoguang's head. No, how can this be? King Yi exclaimed. Boom! Huoguang blocked the last lightning bolt. The tribulation clouds dispersed. The bright stars gathered around Huoguang and enveloped Huoguang in a pillar that reached the sky. Huoguang's clothes were mostly torn, but the aura around him was surging. Buzz! Around Huoguang, the starlight suddenly condensed into the illusory image of an enormous armored soldier. In the illusory image, the armored soldier glared. His killing intent surged out in all directions. He held a long spear in his hand, and as he waved it, it emitted a bloody stench. Army destroyer will, good! Qinglong shouted excitedly. For a moment, Huoguang seemed to have become the focus of everyone's attention. It was not only because of the tribulation, but also because of the will of the stars. It was also the first time for many people to see it. Domineering aura, murderous aura, broken aura, invincible aura. A starlight phantom showed the tyrannical power of the star will. It shouldn't be like this, it shouldn't be like this. King Wild was extremely furious. After transcending the tribulation, Lu Gang should have roared to the sky in excitement. But at this moment, Lu Gang did not dare to make a sound, because he had messed up his master's matter again. Who? Huoguang opened his eyes, and the starlight around him suddenly converged into his body. The starlight pillar also suddenly disappeared. On the other side, Shinkuan Kuroha, who was in the middle of transcending the tribulation, looked at Huoguang with a gloomy face. He looked at the guy who had gotten a great deal. Bastard! Shinkuan Kuroha said angrily. Boom! Lightning flashed, and Shinkuan Kuroha could only focus on the tribulation in the sky again. Huoguang inherited the will of the army destroyer star and gently raised his hand. Boom! The 8 golden dragons formed by the draconic energy suddenly raised their heads and looked at Huoguang together as if they were attracted by Huoguang. Good! Mr. Monroe's face lit up. But the joy only lasted for a moment, and Mr. Monroe's face suddenly changed. Quick, remove the control. Mr. Monroe shouted. Huh? Huoguang was slightly surprised and immediately stopped controlling the 8 golden dragons. Mr. Monroe. Huoguang looked at Mr. Monroe in confusion. Mr. Monroe was staring at the stone of world suppression, or more accurately, at Master Immortal Damyao, who was on top of the stone of world suppression. Mr. Monroe's abnormality attracted the attention of all the experts around. Many people turned their heads to look. Yan Chuan was also brought up into the sky by Mo Yu Shi and looked at Master Immortal Damyao on top of the stone of world suppression. Master Immortal Damyao slowly opened his eyes. He's awake. He's alive. Oh no, it's Master Immortal Damiao. Shocked expressions could be heard all around. Master Immortal Damiao was awake. Still sitting cross-legged, Master Immortal Damiao looked up at the sky. The Big Dipper 9 stars alignment. Master Immortal Damiao looked up at the sky and sighed bitterly. When Ruo greets Master Immortal Damiao. Mr. Monroe said respectfully. My greets Master Immortal Damiao. King Mai also said respectfully. Greetings came from all around. Master Immortal Damiao slowly stood up with his hands clasped behind his back and looked around. Then, he looked at Huo Guang and smiled bitterly. Don't you know that the myriad wonders demonic lotus is evil beyond the heavens? Master Immortal Damiao sighed. Master Immortal Damiao, the feng shui formation has been broken. We can no longer protect the myriad wonders demonic lotus. Please help us. Mr. Monroe said respectfully. Master Immortal Damiao stared at Mr. Monroe. Master Immortal Damiao shook his head. My mission is to protect the myriad wonders demonic lotus. As long as I'm here, no one can touch it. Don't waste time talking to him. Let's attack together. If we drag this out, more and more experts will come. King Mai suddenly shouted. As he spoke, King Mai raised his hand and attacked Master Immortal Damiao. A purple palm print shot toward Master Immortal Damiao. Master Immortal Damiao's eyes widened. He countered with a palm print. Boom! The void trembled. King Mai's palm print dissipated. Attack! Attack! Shouts came from all around as they flew toward Master Immortal Damiao. Since they couldn't get the myriad wonders demonic lotus, they had to get the world-suppressing stone first. Master Immortal Damiao snorted. Whoosh! Master Immortal Damiao's body flickered, and 8 identical Master Immortal Damiao appeared around him. The 8 Master Immortal Damiao faced the 20 immortal state experts flying toward them from all directions. Rumble! Shockwaves spread out in all directions. Go down! Mr. Monroe controlled the boat and rushed down with Huo Guang. Where do you think you're going? One of Master Immortal Damiao raised his hand and attacked. A golden skeleton flew toward Mr. Monroe. A brush appeared in Mr. Monroe's hand and he waved it at the golden skeleton. Buzz! A white light formed by the awe-inspiring righteous energy shot toward the skeleton. Boom! The white light and the golden skeleton collided with each other. They exploded. Go to Yan Chuan. Mr. Monroe waved the boat and it shot downward. Mr. Monroe held the brush and blocked Master Immortal Damiao's path. Master Immortal Damiao, I'm sorry. Mr. Monroe shouted. As he spoke, the brush in his hand moved quickly and drew a mountain in the blink of an eye. Boom! The mountain pressed down on Master Immortal Damiao. Master Immortal Damiao formed an incantation gesture and a crack appeared in the void. Countless hellfire soared into the sky and rushed toward Mr. Wenruo. The battle in the sky was about to start. Huo Guang also arrived at the bottom of the mountain. Half of the overlords were watching the battle in the sky for the world-suppressing stone. The other half was watching Huo Guang, ready to fight for the myriad wonders demonic lotus. Chapter 125. Lord. Huo Guang returned and greeted respectfully. Rosefinch, Xuanwu, stay behind and protect my 3,000 soldiers. Yan Chuan said to the two. Yes. The two replied. Zhijiansheng. I'll have to trouble you to stay behind and help me look after these subordinates. Yan Chuan looked at Zhijiansheng. All right. Zhijiansheng agreed. Yan Chuan owes you a favor. Yan Chuan nodded. Ha, I didn't plan to do anything when I came in. Zhijiansheng laughed. Lu Jin, give me that painting. Yan Chuan stretched out his hand. Yes. Lu Jin immediately handed over the spatial painting. The rest of you, let's go. Yan Chuan said. Mo Yushi nodded. Huo Guang, channel the power of the dragon veins into our bodies and enter the area of evil energy. Yan Chuan ordered. Yes. Huo Guang replied. Buzz. The image of the Alcade appeared around Huo Guang. Suddenly, the 8 golden dragons began to twist and turn. Bastard! Master Damiao's angry roar came from the sky. Lord, your subordinate can only control 4 golden dragons. Master Damiao has already taken the other 4. Huo Guang frowned. Enough. Let's go. Roar. 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 The 4 golden dragons suddenly left the world-suppressing stone and rushed down. The dragon heads overlapped and covered Yan Chuan, Mo Yushi, Qing Long, White Tiger, Yang Zigu, and Huo Guang. 4 dragon bodies and 1 dragon head. Dragon Qi gathered at one point, protecting the 6 of them. The 6 of them quickly ran towards the center. At this moment, nearly half of the experts were staring at him. As long as the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus was suppressed, everyone would fight for it. There were also some people who set their sights on the 3,000 soldiers, but Rosefinch, Xuanwu, and Zhujiansheng were standing guard, so they couldn't make a move for the time being. The dragon energy shrouded the 6 of them as the black qi from the outside corroded the dragon energy ferociously. The golden dragon head trembled violently. Will the dragon qi outside be broken? Yang Zigu said with some fear. It's possible, so we have to be quick. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Then hurry up, hurry up. Yang Zigu said fearfully. Everyone anxiously approached the center. The closer they got to the center, the more the dragon head shook, as if it would collapse at any moment. Everyone was nervous. The surrounding experts also clenched their fists. They were waiting for Yan Chuan and his team's harvest. It didn't take long for them to arrive. When they got closer, they could see everything in more detail. The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus emitted an extremely evil light. It made people feel like they would be mesmerized by it. It was as if it could give people unlimited power. It was as if they could become invincible as long as they obtained the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Mo Yushi, Yang Zigu, Qing Long, White Tiger, and Huo Guang were all breathing rapidly. Yan Chuan was very calm. He wasn't disturbed at all. In fact, Yan Chuan wasn't looking at the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus, but at the dark red round platform supporting the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. The round platform wasn't big, only 3 meters wide. However, Yan Chuan was moved by this round platform. Iron Jade Essence. How extravagant. Good stuff. Yan Chuan exclaimed inwardly. Others might not be able to tell, but Yan Chuan knew how precious this round platform was. The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus was under the influence of the feng shui array. If there was no hard object underneath, the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus could just burrow into the ground. The Iron Jade Essence carried both the feng shui array and the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Although the Iron Jade Essence's spirituality wasn't as good as the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus, it was definitely not inferior in quality. Chapter 126. But at this moment, everyone's attention was on the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. No one was paying attention to the Iron Jade Essence. Lady Mo, prepare to take the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. Yan Chuan woke Mo Yushi up. Mo Yushi immediately woke up. She nodded and took out the 8 treasures divine box. She opened the box and prepared to take the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. With me here, no one can take it. Suddenly, another immortal Master Damiao appeared at the mouth of the dragon and blocked Yan Chuan's path. Not good. Qing Long and White Tiger immediately blocked Yan Chuan and Mo Yushi. Boom! Qing Long and White Tiger each pushed out a palm and collided with Master Damiao's. Humph, 2 immortal realm cultivators. You're not enough. Master Damiao said coldly. Lord, Master Damiao is disrupting the energy of the dragon veins. I can't control it. Huo Guang said anxiously. If you can't control it, we're finished. You have to control it. Yang Zigu shouted. His eyes were filled with fear. This was a desperate situation. Once the dragon chi dissipated, the black chi would corrode them into bones. Bastard! Mo Yushi also wanted to attack Master Damiao. Lady Mo. Yan Chuan stopped Mo Yushi. Mo Yushi anxiously turned around. There's not enough time. You have to trust me. Create an essence clone and let me control it. Yan Chuan stared at Mo Yushi. What? Mo Yushi was surprised. Yes. Yan Chuan nodded affirmatively. The essence clone was oneself. No one would turn themselves into a puppet for others to control. In the past, if anyone dared to say this to her, Mo Yushi would definitely kill them. However, at this moment, he saw Yan Chuan's resolute gaze. That gaze was like the one in his dream a few months ago. Mo Yushi's heart inexplicably trembled. All right. Mo Yushi didn't know why, but she agreed. Yan Chuan tapped Mo Yushi's forehead with his finger. Mo Yushi's face turned slightly red, but she didn't struggle. She closed her eyes and a large amount of white essence gushed out from her pores. It was still Mo Yushi's form. However, the eyes of Mo Yushi's avatar were the eyes of Yan Chuan. Fierce and domineering. The essence Chi clone looked at Qing Long and White Tiger, who were fighting with Damiao Immortal. His eyes narrowed as he took a step forward and appeared in front of the three. Heavenly cycle. In the palm of the essence Chi doppelganger, countless tiny stars appeared, orbiting in different orbits. If one looked closely, they would see that Mo Yushi's palm seemed to be holding the entire universe. The small stars were countless stars. Rumble. He pushed his palm towards Master Damiao Immortal. Master Damiao Immortal's expression changed. He pushed away Qing Long and White Tiger and went towards Mo Yushi. Bam! The universe in Mo Yushi's palm seemed to expand and enveloped Master Damiao Immortal. Countless stars revolved around Master Damiao Immortal. Even someone as strong as Master Damiao seemed to be completely restrained by the power of the stars. He couldn't move at all. What? What technique is this? Master Damiao Immortal exclaimed. Bam! Master Damiao Immortal was sent flying. He hit the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. The moment the dragon head appeared, the surrounding black gas rushed towards Master Damiao Immortal. Bastard! Master Damiao Immortal yelled as he was devoured by the black gas and absorbed by the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. He pushed Master Damiao Immortal back with one palm. Qing Long and White Tiger's eyes almost popped out. This. Master Damiao Immortal has many avatars. Even if his strength has decreased a lot, he is still a peak stage immortal state warrior. But Saintess? White Tiger looked over in disbelief. Chapter 127. The essence clone entered Mo Yushi's body in the blink of an eye. Yan Chuan also removed his finger from Mo Yushi's forehead. Mo Yushi slowly opened her eyes and blushed. At the same time, her gaze towards Yan Chuan was filled with a trace of tenderness. Quickly retrieve the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Yan Chuan said gently. Mo Yushi replied. The 8 treasures god box covered the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Boom! The lid was slammed shut. The black gas in the surroundings suddenly lost its source and slowly dissipated. Grabbing the 8 treasures god box, Mo Yushi's eyes were filled with excitement. It wasn't just Mo Yushi. At this moment, as long as one wasn't fighting in the sky, their eyes were all focused on Mo Yushi's 8 treasures god box. 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus, 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. Yang Zigu excitedly reached out to grab it. However, Yan Chuan opened his painting and covered the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus with the iron jade essence. Whoosh! The iron jade essence was placed into the painting. Yan Chuan quickly kept the painting. At this moment, everyone was staring at the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. Naturally, no one noticed Yan Chuan's actions. Why can't I keep it? Mo Yushi's expression changed. Saintess, what's wrong? Qing Long immediately asked. Yushi, let me see, let me see. Yang Zigu reached out to grab it. Mo Yushi looked at Yang Zigu strangely and actually let go of the box. Good, good, good. Yang Zigu grabbed the 8 treasures god box excitedly. What's wrong? Yan Chuan looked towards Mo Yushi. The 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus is too intelligent. I can't store it in my storage space. Mo Yushi frowned. So intelligent? Then wouldn't we have to bring the box back? Yan Chuan said worriedly. Mo Yushi nodded. Fine, do as I said. Yan Chuan frowned. All right. Mo Yushi replied. Yang Zigu, we've got it. Let's go. Mo Yushi said to Yang Zigu. Good, good. It's just a pity that this thing can't be stored in the storage space. Yang Zigu said regretfully. Go. Mo Yushi, Yang Zigu, Qing Long and the white tiger soared into the sky, rushing towards the outside of the array. Where do you think you're going? Hand over the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. Stop. Suddenly, a large number of experts surrounded them to fight for the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. Just as they were in the air, Mo Yushi and the others were surrounded by 20 Immortal State warriors, and dozens of Qi Realm warriors were waiting for them. In the blink of an eye, they had nowhere to run. Yang Zigu, protect the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. I, Qing Long and the White Tiger will do our best to protect you. Mo Yushi shouted. Okay, okay. Yang Zigu stuttered. Xing. 20 Immortal State warriors and dozens of Qi State warriors pulled out their weapons and stared at Yang Zhijiu with bloodshot eyes. Their murderous intent surged toward him. This. Yang Zigu looked at the scene in shock. Yushi, you should take it. Take it. Yang Zigu said fearfully. Although Yang Zigu wanted the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus, it was too dangerous. The dozens of Immortal State experts were only targeting him. No matter how powerful the 3 Immortal State experts were, they couldn't protect him. Yang Zigu wanted to spread the news of the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus as soon as possible. Okay. Mo Yushi smiled cunningly. At the same time, she looked at Yan Chuan gratefully. This was because Yan Chuan had already predicted this scene a few days ago. As expected, Yang Zigu didn't dare to keep the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus for himself. She had no one to blame but herself for giving it back. Little girl, you don't deserve the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. Hand it over. One of the Immortal State warriors said coldly. The crowd was getting closer and closer. At this moment, Mo Yushi's heart was unusually calm. She was waiting for Yan Chuan's next move. Yan Chuan looked up at the sky and said to Huo Guang, it's time. Huo Guang, use your dragon chi to destroy this array. Yes. Chapter 128. Dragon Chi, explode. Huo Guang shouted. Boom. The 4 golden dragon Chi controlled by Huo Guang suddenly exploded. The explosion shook the surroundings. The 4 dragons exploded and turned into countless fragments. The 4 dragons were the amalgamation of the Earth's dragon veins. The explosion of the 4 dragons caused the Earth to shake. Ka 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 ka. Huge trenches appeared one after another. Mountains and rivers collapsed, and rivers flowed in reverse. The entire space of the formation had undergone earth-shaking changes. Ah! Be careful. Not good. The sound of Jiaohu came from all directions. Where Yan Chuan's army was, the ground was also shaking uncontrollably. The 3,000 soldiers swayed and found it difficult to stand firm. Ka! A huge earth trench appeared under the feet of the 3,000 soldiers. Rosefinch opened his eyes wide. Boom! Vermilion bird and black tortoise quickly attacked the mountainous region beside them to fill up the trench. Large amounts of mountain rocks shot over from all directions. Jiu Jiansheng wielded his sword and blocked wave after wave of mountain rocks for the 3,000 soldiers. Although the 3,000 soldiers swayed, they did not suffer any serious injuries in front of the three experts. Boom! Ka! A huge sound came from the sky. It was as if the sky was being torn apart. A huge crack appeared. The array is broken. Yan Chuan looked at the sky with satisfaction. The moment the 4 dragons exploded, almost all the experts stopped and prepared for any accidents. The golden dragon exploded, the array collapsed, and the earth shook. Dust, dragon chi, and fog turned the interior of the array turbid, greatly limiting one's vision. Little girl, hand over the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus. The godly realm expert quickly recovered. He once again approached Mo Yushi. You want it? Come and take it. Mo Yushi laughed. Humph. That person rushed forward. Qing Long seal. White tiger seal. Boom. The two of them attacked at the same time and repelled the god realm expert. Let's go together. Whoever gets it will get it. That person shouted. All right. Everyone pressed forward. Yang Zigu had a worried look on his face. Qing Long and White Tiger were on standby. Screech. A crane's cry pierced through the sky. The surroundings were extremely turbid. The battle did not stop and the rumbling did not stop. Not many people paid attention to this crane cry. Only a few people saw a white crane swoop down from outside the formation. He went straight into the turbid formation. Screech. Little I'm here. Mo Yushi called out. Screech. The red-crowned crane swooped down excitedly and arrived in front of the group of experts in the blink of an eye. Not good, quick, attack together. An expert exclaimed. Xing. Die. Stay. 7 or 8 experts attacked at the same time. The swords, sabers, and treasures in their hands all struck towards Mo Yushi. Just as Mo Yushi was about to be buried in the group attack, a white light flashed past. Whoosh! Mo Yushi disappeared. Where did he go? Someone exclaimed. Above. Another person shouted. Everyone looked up and saw Mo Yushi standing on the red-crowned crane and breaking through the clouds. Everyone, we'll meet again. Mo Yushi laughed. Bastard, stop right there. Stop. Leave the 10,000 wonders bewitching lotus. The 20 god realm experts almost went crazy. The meat in their mouths flew away just like that. Who could accept that? Chapter 129. Chase. Dozens of experts soared into the sky and chased after the crane. However, when the experts flew out of the array and into the sky, Missouri Yushi and the crane had already become a small dot in the sky. Even if the deity realm experts could soar through the sky, how could they be faster than the crane that specialized in flight? The crane flapped its wings and left all the deity realm experts behind. Ah! Bastard! Roar! Above the broken array, angry roars could be heard. They were venting their endless frustrations. On the horizon, Mo Yushi hugged the box containing the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus. She turned her head and looked at the array in the distance that was filled with smoke and dust. Her expression was one of pride and concern. Screech! Screech! The crane cried out excitedly. Okay, I know. Little crane, you have done the most this time. Yushi patted the crane's head lovingly. Screech! The crane was proud. This time, I really have to thank him. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have thought of sending you a message in the array. You wouldn't have received my signal, and you wouldn't have been able to cooperate with me when breaking the array. Yushi said with a smile. Screech! Screech! Him! That's him! Prince Yen! Yushi said with a slightly red face. Screech! This time, the snatching of the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus was actually his plan. I finally got it. I finally got the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Yushi said happily. Screech! We are not waiting for Qinglong and the others. He said that the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus is definitely not ordinary. The 8 treasure divine box might not be able to seal it for too long. He wants me to return to the sacred grounds first and hand the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus to Mohina Dojin. Wait, let's go to his bamboo house first. I will leave a message for Qinglong and the others. Yushi said after some thought. Screech! The crane flapped its wings and flew towards Yan Chuan's bamboo house. The formation was broken. Draconic qi wreaked havoc, and the inside of the formation was extremely turbid. Master Immortal Damyao was fighting alone. Suddenly, his body stopped moving and regrouped into one. Master Immortal Damyao had fought against half of the experts by himself, so no one dared to underestimate him. Standing at the center of the world-suppressing stone, Immortal Master Damyao looked up at the sky. Ha 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 ha, heaven's will. This is the will of the heavens. Immortal Master Damyao said with a sorrowful expression. We've already lost the myriad wonders demonic lotus. Don't be so stubborn, Immortal Master Damyao. King Yimu advised. Master Immortal Damyao suddenly turned to look at King Yimu. His eyes were cold as ice, and then he swept his gaze over the crowd. My mission has come to an end. The formation has been broken, and I will be destroyed. However, everyone here, remember this. In the future, the calamity of the world will be your calamity. You are the ones who made the world live in fire and water. Immortal Master Damyao shouted. You're just trying to scare us. Another expert shouted. At this point, the experts who had been fighting for the myriad profundity demonic lotus had also surrounded Master Immortal Damyao. Master Immortal Damyao looked at the crowd with hatred and waved his hand. Explode! Master Immortal Damyao shouted. Hong! The remaining 4 golden dragons suddenly exploded. Rumble! The explosion was even more intense. The entire feng shui formation was shattered, and the ground shook. It was as if the apocalypse had arrived. The formation was completely broken, and Master Immortal Damyao's figure slowly faded away. However, even though he was about to be destroyed, his eyes were still fixed on everyone. On the other side. Chapter 130. After Yushi escaped, Qinglong and White Tiger landed with an unwilling Yang Zigu. Prince Yen, let's go. Qinglong shouted. Okay. Yan Chuan nodded. Huo Guang, now that the formation is broken, your control over the dragon aura should be getting weaker and weaker, right? Yan Chuan asked. Yes, after the explosion, it's less than 1/100th. And it's getting weaker and weaker. Huo Guang nodded. Alright, it's the final moment. Control as much as you can. Try your best to control the dragon aura and infuse it into your army. Yan Chuan ordered. Yes. Huo Guang replied. Rumble. A large amount of dragon aura fragments suddenly rushed towards the 3,000 silver armors. Roar. 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 The fragments seemed to have turned into miniature golden dragons. There were tens of thousands of them and they rushed towards the 3,000 silver armors. Open your mouth and swallow. Yan Chuan shouted at the 3,000 silver armors. Yes, the 3,000 silver armors replied. Roar. They opened their mouths and shot out golden dragons. The 3,000 silver armors opened their mouths and swallowed the golden dragons. In an instant, the 3,000 silver armors glowed with golden light. Dragon aura entering the body. Ha! Zhu Sheng's eyes lit up. Zhu Sheng reached out and took out his wine gourd. He opened the gourd and started sucking in the dragon aura rushing towards him. Qing Long, White Tiger, Rosefinch, Xuanwu, and Yang Zigu didn't seem to care about the dragon aura. Alright, time to go. Yang Zigu was full of resentment. After half a day, the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus was still taken by Mo Yushi. How depressing. Rumble. The battle above for the world-suppressing stone was getting more intense. Let's go. Yan Chuan nodded. Qing Long and White Tiger led the way. Escorting Yan Chuan's group, they quickly approached the 3,000 soldiers. Lord! The 3,000 soldiers shouted excitedly. Junior brother Yan Chuan, you're awesome. Zhu Sheng said with a smile. We're leaving. What about you? Yan Chuan looked at Zhu Sheng. Let's go, let's go. Although I hate that Shinkuan Kuroha, I really can't beat him now. His 9 heavenly tribulation is about to end. Moreover, if I stayed, would I be able to compete with dozens of immortal state warriors for the world-suppressing stone? That's courting death. I'm already very satisfied with this dragon chi. Let's go, let's go. Zhu Sheng said with a smile. Let's go. Yan Chuan nodded. Rosefinch, Xuanwu, lead the way. Qing Long shouted. Okay. The two of them answered. Rumble. Amidst the shaking earth and rolling dust, Yan Chuan's group quickly walked out of the broken formation. Rumble. Rumble. The 3,000 soldiers were weak, but they were escorted by a group of powerhouses. Although the journey was dangerous, not many people were injured. 2 hours later, everyone was outside the formation. Outside the formation, the surrounding mountains and rivers had collapsed. Apparently, they were affected by the formation. Behind them, dust rose into the sky. Streams of light shot out from the formation. The powerhouses were fighting non-stop. The world-suppressing stone was now a must-have item. Let's go to my place and wait for Mr. Monroe. Maybe Miss Emo is still there. Yan Chuan said. Yeah. Yang Zigu's eyes lit up. A glimmer of hope flashed in his eyes. When they came, the silver-armored soldiers were at LV 4 or 5 of the power realm. When they left, they were at least at LV 7. They even swallowed dragon chi, so their cultivation would definitely improve. Their speed was much faster. 5 days later, everyone returned to the bamboo house. Yushi. Yang Zigu looked around. Lord, there are words left by Miss Emo at the door of your master bedroom. Lu Jin immediately went forward. Oh. Everyone quickly walked to the door of Yan Chuan's master bedroom. There was a piece of paper on the door. There was a line of beautiful words written on it. Qing Long, White Tiger, Rosefinch, Xuanwu, I've returned to the Dazhao sacred ground. Stay here and protect Prince Yan. Wait for my news. It's the saint's words. Qing Long took the paper and said with certainty. Chapter 131. Qing Long, White Tiger, Rosefinch, Xuanwu, I have returned to the Dazhao Holy Land. You stay here and protect Prince Yan. Wait for my news. It's the saint's handwriting. Qing Long took the paper and confirmed. Huh? Yan Chuan frowned slightly. There were signs that the door of the bamboo house had been opened. Wait for me outside. Yan Chuan said. With that, Yan Chuan walked into the bamboo house alone. On the bamboo table, there was another letter. There was no signature, but Yan Chuan knew that Mo Yushi must have left it for him. Yan Chuan opened the letter and read it. I came out this time with 300 high-grade spirit stones. I put them in the box under your bed. I don't mean anything else. You must accept them. You brought 3,000 subordinates with you. Your burden will be heavier in the future. Take these as snacks for them. Don't refuse. See you again. Looking at the letter, Yan Chuan did not know why, but he suddenly smiled. Yan Chuan gently put away the letter and came out again. Yushi really left? Yang Zigu also came back, looking depressed. The saint has gone back. Qing Long nodded. On the other side, Zhu Jiansheng sat on a tree, drinking wine from his gourd with a face full of enjoyment. Whoosh! A white light suddenly shot from the distant sky. Boom! A strong wind blew, and dust rose. Mr. Monroe had returned. Mr. Monroe's clothes were slightly tattered, but he still looked calm. Wenroa, how is it? Yang Zigu asked immediately. The stone of suppression was broken. I was lucky to have a piece. Mr. Monroe smiled with satisfaction. The stone of suppression was a top-grade material for refining fairy equipment. Anyone who had it would be satisfied. Oh. How is Shinkun Kuroha? Him. His will of the stars was snatched by Huguang. He had just reached the emptiness realm and was in a weak state. Because he had reached the emptiness realm, he became the target of everyone. Although he managed to snatch a large fragment of the suppressing world stone, he also paid a heavy price. He will have to cultivate in seclusion for a few years. Mr. Monroe laughed. N. Yan Chuan nodded. Where is Saintess Yushi? Mr. Monroe asked. Her. Let's go back. Yang Zigu said gloomily. That's right. It's better to head back early in case anything happens. Mr. Monroe nodded. Yeah, since that's the case, let's go back too. Yang Zigu said helplessly. Okay. Mr. Monroe nodded. Qing Long, let's go. Mr. Monroe looked at Qing Long and the others. We. Qing Long was about to say something, but Yan Chuan interrupted him. Go, let's go back with them. Yan Chuan looked at the four of them and said. Ah. But Prince Yan. Qing Long was confused. One had to know that Mo Yushi had personally left a letter for the four of them to protect Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan looked at Qing Long and smiled. You don't have to worry about me for now. She just got the infinite wonder demon lotus. She will definitely cause a sensation when she goes back. You guys should go back early to help Miss Mo. But how are we going to explain this to her when we go back? Qing Long was in a dilemma. Just tell her that I said so. She won't make things difficult for you guys. Yan Chuan said firmly. Looking at Yan Chuan, Qing Long and the others nodded gratefully. The four of them could see that Yan Chuan was sincerely doing this for the saintess. Yes. The four of them bowed respectfully to Yan Chuan. Mr. Monroe and Yang Zigu looked at this scene with slight confusion, but they didn't ask anything in the end. Chapter 132. Mr. Monroe took out a small boat, and the four of them stepped onto it. They soared into the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Junior brother Yan, you're really something. Zhu Jiansheng suddenly jumped down from the tree. After everyone left, Zhu Jiansheng could finally catch up with Yan Chuan. Thank you, Zhu Jiansheng. Let's wait until we reach the Day sect. Yan Chuan smiled. Oh, that's fine too. Zhu Jiansheng nodded and did not mind. Thank you again for protecting our army in the Feng Shui formation. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Ha, I also received a batch of dragon energy because of that. Moreover, I owe your father a debt of gratitude. How can I just sit back and do nothing? Zhu Jiansheng smiled. Yan Chuan will remember that. Yan Chuan nodded. When you turn 18, I'll apply to come and pick you up. Zhu Jiansheng smiled. That's great. But I won't be here by then. You can go to Yanjing. Yan Chuan said. Okay. Is there anything else you need my help with? Zhu Jiansheng nodded. Yes, there's something I need to trouble you with. Ha ha ha, I knew it. Zhu Jiansheng laughed. Huo Guang, go and bring the box under my bed. Yan Chuan said. Yes. Huo Guang replied. Soon, Huo Guang carried a big box to Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan flipped his hand and opened it, revealing 300 crystals that were surrounded by mist. High-grade spiritual stones. That's not right. Your father didn't give you anything. How did you get them? Zhu Jiansheng said in surprise. Do my things have to come from my father? Yan Chuan laughed. Ha, I was wrong. Yan Chuan, why did you take these spiritual stones? Zhu Jiansheng laughed. I haven't entered the cultivation world yet. I'll have to trouble you to use the 300 high-grade spiritual stones to buy some things for me. Yan Chuan laughed. Oh. 3,000 heaven-shocking bows, 100,000 sun-shooting arrows, and 3,000 sky-splitting spears. Yan Chuan said. Ah. So many. Zhu Jiansheng said. Heaven-shocking bow, shooting sun arrows, and sky-piercing spear were extremely famous, but in the cultivation world, they were only basic weapons. Of course, in the mortal world, they were divine weapons. What? Not enough spiritual stones? Yan Chuan asked. It's enough, but you're spending too much. 3,000? 100,000? An ordinary shop wouldn't be able to gather all of them. Zhu Jiansheng laughed bitterly. That's why I'm troubling you. Yan Chuan laughed. Alright, forget it. I'll run a few more places. Zhu Jiansheng nodded. Thank you. Yan Chuan said solemnly. It's fine. It's not like I'm spending my money anyway. Zhu Jiansheng said straightforwardly. Spend as much as you want. Yan Chuan laughed. Since that's the case, I won't delay any longer. Let's go. Zhu Jiansheng picked up a box of spiritual stones and bid farewell. Yan Chuan nodded. After sending off Zhu Jiansheng, Yan Chuan looked at Huo Guang and Lu Jin. Did you hear what I said just now? Yan Chuan looked at the two of them. Yes, thank you, Lord. If the soldiers knew, they would definitely go crazy with joy. Huo Guang laughed. Heaven-shocking bow, sun-shooting arrows, sky-splitting spears. It was obviously a cultivator's magic treasure. 3,000, 100,000, 3,000. It was obvious that it was for the First Legion. A few days ago, everyone swallowed a strand of dragon qi. Digest it well and use it to break through again. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Yes, Lord, don't worry. As soon as those little bastards came back, they went to sit cross-legged and cultivate. I don't have to say that they're all very sneaky. Huo Guang laughed. That's good. Yan Chuan nodded. Chapter 133. I may need to go into seclusion for a while. I'll give you 3 months to bring back 3,000 Hanshua horses. Yan Chuan ordered. Hanshua horses. Only the Zhao army's camp nearby has them. Moreover, there shouldn't be more than 4,000 of them in the entire camp. Lu Jin said after thinking for a while. Yes, Lord. Don't worry. I'll get them for you. Huo Guang promised. With regards to whatever Zhao family army, Huo Guang could already completely ignore them. This arrogance was exactly what Yan Chuan wanted. Lu Jin. Yan Chuan looked at Lu Jin. Yes. After the dragon chi has been digested, I believe that everyone's cultivation will have reached LV8 of the power realm and above. The silver armor won't have any effect on them anymore. Use some funds to buy new uniforms. Yan Chuan said. Uniforms? What uniforms? Lu Jin was confused. Good clothes for good horses. Find the best tailors to make the most gorgeous robes. We'll be returning to the capital soon. Of course, we'll have good clothes and good horses. Yan Chuan's soldiers are the best in all aspects. Yan Chuan said proudly. Yes. Lu Jin said respectfully. Okay. For the time being, you'll stay in the camp. Don't come near the bamboo house for the time being, Yan Chuan said. Yes. The two answered. The two left. White fog surrounded the bamboo house. Yan Chuan had activated the formation again. Back in his room. Yan Chuan took out the scroll. In the scroll. Yan Chuan took out the iron jade essence. Bang! As soon as the iron jade essence was taken out, it emitted a lot of black chi and rushed in all directions. The inside of the formation was immediately dyed black. Hiss, 10,000 wonders demonic lotus, what a heavy evil aura. To think that even the essence of iron jade would be tainted with such a heavy evil aura. Yan Chuan exclaimed. He looked at the iron jade essence that was wreaking havoc with evil energy. Yan Chuan frowned. Iron jade essence, a weapon of utmost purity. Since it has been tainted with such a heavy evil aura, it must have undergone some internal changes. Should I use it to refine weapons? Yan Chuan walked around the iron jade essence. Phew, evil aura. So what if it was evil energy? There's no sword that I can't handle. Yan Chuan glared. After calming down, Yan Chuan immediately took out the brush, Dream Immortal. Yan Chuan dipped the Dream Immortal in ink and began to write on the iron jade essence. Fire. 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 As the word fire was written one after another, Yan Chuan's eyes became more and more resolute. With the increase in his cultivation, Yan Chuan was gradually able to withstand the cleansing of the origin chi of heaven and earth. The cleansing of the origin chi was beneficial to cultivation. Similarly, with the increase in the quality of the brush, the origin chi would no longer destroy the brush. Instead, it would nourish the brush again and again. Fire. 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 The surroundings of the words were completely red. Yan Chuan had written a total of 108 fire words. Bam! Outside of the iron jade essence, it was as if there was a raging fire that was fiercely burning the iron jade essence. He sat cross-legged facing the iron jade essence. Yan Chuan's eyes widened. Ong! The golden dragon of will erupted once again, facing the raging flames of the iron jade essence. It began to swallow and spit out Yan Chuan's will flames. Rumble. The iron jade essence was constantly being refined by Yan Chuan. A month later, Zhu Jiansheng returned once again, accompanied by a few servants. He brought a large number of military equipment. Heaven-shocking bow, sun-shooting arrow, sky-piercing spear. Senior, the Lord is in seclusion. He told us not to disturb him. Why don't you wait a little longer? Lu Jin said politely. There's no need. Just send the things over. Oh right, I'll give them to you together with 20 high-grade spirit stones. In a few months, we'll meet in Beijing. Zhu Jiansheng said casually. All right, thank you, Senior. Lu Jin said politely. After sending off Zhu Jiansheng, a group of soldiers surrounded him. Sir, these are immortal treasures. The soldiers' eyes lit up with excitement. Chapter 134. After sending off Zhu Jiansheng, a group of soldiers surrounded him. Sir, these are immortal treasures. The eyes of the soldiers lit up as they spoke. The heaven-shocking bow was made of purple gold, and there were countless exquisite runes on it. The sun-shooting arrow was as sharp as a divine weapon. The heaven-breaking spear felt warm in his hand, as if it had become one with his body. Sir, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. A young general said anxiously. All right. Huo Guang was also extremely happy. Everyone was in the barracks, and when Zhu Jiansheng brought over the treasures, everyone excitedly surrounded them. All of them stared at the sharp weapons. Huo Guang said, all right, I'll do it, haha. He grabbed the heaven-shocking bow and pulled it hard. Buzz buzz. The bowstring was only a third of the way open. Pull it, pull it. The general said excitedly. However, the soldier's face was flushed red, and he couldn't pull it open no matter what. Bang! His hand loosened, and the bowstring trembled violently. Ha ha ha, Li San, a woman's strength is greater than her strength, she can't even pull the bow properly. Everyone laughed. I've tried my best. Li San's face turned red. Let me try. Huo Guang shouted. Huo Guang took the heaven-shocking bow and pulled it fiercely. Open. Huo Guang's eyes widened, the veins on his hands bulged, and the bow was not even fully pulled. Open for me. Huo Guang shouted once again. Rumble. The heaven-shocking bow was barely pulled into a full moon. Hiss. So powerful. All the soldiers were shocked. Huo Guang was currently at the Essence Realm. With such strength, he could only pull it into a full moon. Good bow, help me pass the sun-shooting arrow, I'll try. Huo Guang said excitedly. All right. Li San immediately placed the sun-shooting arrow on Huo Guang. Sir, shoot there, the giant wudong tree halfway up the mountain. A young general shouted. Isn't that too far? It's at least 4 or 5 li. Li San said with a frown. Right there. Huo Guang said with certainty. Huo Guang narrowed his eyes at the giant parasol tree 4 to 5 li away. After taking aim, he loosened his grip. Swish. When the shooting sun arrow appeared, the runes on the arrow suddenly emitted a golden light. It instantly shot into the distance like a golden beam of light. Boom. A loud sound came from afar. All the soldiers were petrified. That's a huge tree. It's at least as thick as 10 people's waists. How did it break with just one arrow? That's 4 miles away. Oh my God, is this an arrow? The soldiers were incomparably shocked. Go and retrieve the arrow. Huo Guang said excitedly. Yes. The 3 young generals quickly shot into the distance. It didn't take long for them to reach halfway up the mountain. However, after the 3 young generals moved the tree away, they couldn't find the arrow. What are Li San and the others doing? They're digging for rocks. Aren't they looking for arrows? What are they dawdling for? After a long while, the 3 of them returned. Li San, what are you doing? Someone asked anxiously. Sir, it's a divine arrow. It broke a big tree and even shot into a big rock. We had to dig for a long time before we could find it. Li San said excitedly. What? Such a strong force. It shot into the big rock. Everyone turned their heads and looked at the heaven-shocking bow with red eyes. Ha ha ha, good bow. Good bow. Huo Guang said excitedly. Sir, hee, do you want to play with your brothers? A young general rubbed his palms and laughed. Chapter 135. Get out of here. Even if I give it to you now, you won't be able to use it. In a month's time, whoever reaches LV9 of the power realm will come to me for a weapon, Huo Guang scolded jokingly. Yes. Yes. Everyone shouted excitedly. Damn it. Practice hard. The Lord has given us a task. We'll do it in a month's time. If anyone dares to screw up, I'll skin him alive. Huo Guang shouted. Sir, don't worry. For this treasure, even if I don't eat or sleep, I'll make it in a month's time. Moreover, isn't the Lord's task easy? We can get it now. A young soldier said with a smile. Get out of here. Go and practice first. Huo Guang said with a smile. Okay. The soldiers immediately went to practice in full swing. In the bamboo house, Yan Chuan used his will, calligraphy, and mind to refine the iron jade essence. He had been refining it for a few months. When he was hungry, he would eat the demonic beast meat that Lu Jin had left behind. He had been constantly using his primordial qi to cleanse it. After 3 months, Yan Chuan had lost a lot of weight and looked a little haggard. However, the golden dragon's will did not stop refining the iron jade essence. The evil aura of the infinite wonders demonic lotus was everywhere. Boom! A loud sound came from Yan Chuan's body. LV9 of the power realm? That's good. The cleansing of the heavens primordial qi should have reached LV9. Yan Chuan said casually. In front of Yan Chuan, a ball of flame floated in the air. The golden dragon was circling the flame. Within the flame was the iron jade essence. However, its form had changed drastically. A long sword floated in the flame. The sword was 4 feet 9 inches long, 5 inches wide, and 3 inches thick. It was faintly black in color. Condense. Puff. Yan Chuan forced out a mouthful of blood and spat it on the sword. Buzz buzz. The long sword vibrated slightly. Following the vibration, the countless bamboos in the bamboo forest outside the bamboo house trembled violently. It was as if they were cheering for the birth of a new sword. You were refined from the essence of iron jade, the supreme jade sword. My second sword, the Son of Heaven, was given the name, Jade Emperor. Jade Emperor's sword. Yan Chuan shouted. Buzz. The words Jade Emperor slowly appeared on the sword. Swish. The surrounding black gas, evil aura, flames, and blood were all absorbed by the Jade Emperor's sword. The golden dragon was exhausted and transferred into Yan Chuan's body. The Jade Emperor's sword slowly descended from the sky. It fell into the hands of Yan Chuan. He stroked the Jade King's sword. The Jade King's sword trembled as if it was happy about its birth. Now, you're only made of excellent materials, but you're still far from the name of a divine sword. However, with my nourishment, you'll definitely be famous throughout the world. Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said. Buzz. The Jade Emperor's sword trembled again and gradually calmed down. Yan Chuan placed the Jade Emperor's sword on his knees and took out a demon beast's heart. After swallowing it, he closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing. A few months of sword practice. His mind was greatly exhausted. Another 20 days later. Bang! Yan Chuan opened the door of the bamboo house. He slowly walked out of the array and walked towards the barracks outside. Hiss! The sound of horses neighing could be heard everywhere. On the drill ground, many horses were galloping. Lord! Lu Jin stood nearby and immediately saw Yan Chuan. Lord! The soldiers also saw Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan carried a long sword on his back and stepped out. Everyone looked at him with respect. Huo Guang, who was instructing a few subordinates, also quickly ran over. Fergana horses. Yan Chuan looked at the batches of tall horses and said. Yes, Lord. There are a total of 305 horses, and all of them are the strongest. Huo Guang confirmed. All right. Yan Chuan said in satisfaction. Lord, is this set of clothes for the soldiers all right? Lu Jin asked. At this moment, the 3,000 soldiers were no longer wearing silver armor. Silver armor was no longer of any use to them at their cultivation level. Everyone was wearing a set of gorgeous purple-red brocade robes paired with a black cloak. They looked extremely bright and majestic. Not bad. Yan Chuan nodded his head in satisfaction. Also, heaven-shocking bow, sun-shooting arrows, and sky-splitting spear have all arrived 2.5 months ago. I have already distributed them to the soldiers. Huo Guang said excitedly. There's still an extra 20 spirit stones. Lu Jin was about to take out the spirit stones. I'll leave it with you. Yan Chuan said in satisfaction. Yes. Lu Jin replied. Lord, just yesterday, the last soldier officially reached LV9 of the Power Realm. Although our first legion is small in number, it is strong enough to fight against a country. Huo Guang said excitedly. Fine clothes, strong horses, immortal bows, and divine spears. The first legion is finally formed. Yan Chuan said in satisfaction. All thanks to the Lord. Long live the Lord. Huo Guang said respectfully. Long live the Lord. The 3,000 soldiers shouted in unison. At this moment, Yan Emperor was completely ignored by the 3,000 soldiers. At this moment, if Yan Chuan wanted to kill Yan Emperor, the 3,000 soldiers would not hesitate. Lord, the representatives of the 4 nations should have arrived in Yanjin as I told you last time. They are gathering to discuss the 5 nations' affairs and to compete for territory. Lu Jin said seriously. Good. How can we miss the competition between the 5 nations? Rest for a night and have a good meal. Follow me to Yanjin tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Let's see how my Yan state is doing. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes. The 3,000 soldiers replied. The next day, before the sun rose. Giddy up! Giddy up! 3,000 Hanshua horses galloped along the way, stirring up thick clouds of dust. They were galloping toward Yanjin. Yan Chuan took the lead and was extremely arrogant. The eyes of the 3,000 soldiers glinted. The galloping horses were like a sharp sword, cutting through the dawn fog and shooting into the distance. 20 miles away from the galloping horses, 50,000 soldiers were heading toward them. On the commander's flag, there was a big, Zhao, character. The commander-in-chief had a gloomy face. Are you sure? The commander said with a gloomy face. I can't be wrong. The one who stole the Hanshua horses must be Huo Guang. I would recognize him even if he turned into ashes. 3,000 Hanshua horses. A young general said angrily. Humph. How dare he steal my horses? Today, I will bring 50,000 soldiers and destroy his protector camp. I will kill that Yan Chuan as well. Commander Zhao Kuo said with a vicious look in his eyes. But, didn't the patriarch forbid? The young general said worriedly. I will take responsibility for everything. Just kill them. Don't let a single one of them go. When the time comes, say that it was done by bandits. Who dares to tell on us? Zhao Kuo said coldly. Yes, my lord, you are wise. The young general agreed. Report. A scout rode toward them from afar. What's the matter? Zhao Kuo asked. 3,000 cavalrymen are running toward us from 10 miles away. The scout immediately reported. Cavalrymen? 3,000? It's Huo Guang. Ha ha ha. You don't want to take the path to heaven, but you want to barge into hell? Get into formation. Prepare to kill the enemy. Zhao Kuo said with a glare. Roar. The 50,000 soldiers replied. Chapter 136. Giddy up. Yan Chuan took the lead. Dust and smoke rose into the air as his horse galloped. The 3,000 soldiers followed closely behind without stopping for a moment. The Hanshua horses were astonishingly fast. In a few hours, they were already 100 miles away. Yan Chuan's horse galloped over a small hill. With his sharp eyes, he immediately saw the billowing dust in the distance. "Stop!" Yan Chuan shouted. "Shoo! Shoo!" The 3,000 soldiers immediately pulled on the reins. The horses neighed and stopped in their tracks. The 3,000 soldiers were all at least LV9 of the power realm. Naturally, they suppressed the Fergana horses into obedience. Therefore, the horses were extremely well behaved and did not make any noise. On the hill, Yan Chuan squinted his eyes and looked into the distance. On his left and right were Huo Guang and Lu Jin. "Lord, is there an ambush ahead?" Lu Jin said in a deep voice. "That old bastard Zhao Kuo, the younger brother of Patriarch Zhao. I've requisitioned his Hanxue horses. How dare he lead 50,000 elite soldiers here?" Huo Guang said coldly. "Huo Guang, go and talk to him. Tell him to get out of the way." Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. "Yes." Huo Guang replied. "Giddy up." Huo Guang rode his horse and galloped straight ahead. Zhao Kuo saw the lone horse approaching from afar. "Stop!" Zhao Kuo shouted. The 50,000 soldiers stopped immediately. They got into formation and faced the lone horse that was galloping from afar. "Sir, look at that hill. The leader should be Yan Chuan." One of the soldiers pointed into the distance. "It's Huo Guang. He's coming alone. How dare he? Where's their silver armor? Why are they wearing such luxurious robes?" The soldiers around Zhao Kuo discussed among themselves. Zhao Kuo stared at Huo Guang, who was galloping towards him. "Shoo!" Huo Guang stopped in front of the army. "Zhao Kuo. The Lord wants to pass through here, get out of the way." Huo Guang shouted. "Humph! Huo Guang, you injured my subordinates and stole my Hanxue horses. How dare you come to see me before I even look for you?" Zhao Kuo said coldly. "Robber? Bah! Are the Fergana horses yours, Zhao Kuo?" The imperial family of the Great Yan dynasty has been cultivating these resources for generations. Due to the military situation in various regions, some of them were allocated to your military camp. If the Lord wants to use them, he can take them at any time. How did they become your Zhao Kuo's? Huo Guang shouted. "Humph. Since it's in my camp, it's mine." Zhao Kuo glared at Zhang Xian. "Your military camp does not belong to Great Yan. Are you not under the jurisdiction of the Lord and the Yan Emperor?" Huo Guang shouted. "Did you just make your debut? My Zhao army only belongs to the Zhao family. No one else belongs to us." Zhao Kuo shouted. "How dare you?" Huo Guang glared at Zhao Kuo and shouted. "Shoo! Shoo!" As soon as he shouted, the horses of Zhao Kuo's army immediately became restless. Some of the soldiers looked at Huo Guang with a changed expression. "Zhao Kuo, do you know how treacherous your words are? Are you trying to rebel on behalf of your Zhao family?" Huo Guang shouted. "Rebel? Humph! Today, I will kill all of you. None of you will be spared. What bullshit protector camp? What bullshit emperors equal? All of you will die." Zhao Kuo was enraged. "You dare to rebel?" Huo Guang glared at Zhao Kuo, his anger rising. "So what if I'm rebelling? If you die, who will know? Who dares to report me?" "Ha ha ha!" Zhao Kuo said arrogantly. Zhao Kuo's insolence had stirred up the courage of the soldiers as well. Ha 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 ha. Chapter 137. Ha ha ha. The soldiers of the Zhao family army shouted in agreement. Just as the Zhao family army was being arrogant, a voice came from afar. "All lands under the heavens belong to the king, and all lands belong to the king. Those who rebel against the king shall be executed." The voice was powerful and dignified. Even though it was just one person's voice, it suppressed the mocking laughter of the 50,000 soldiers. Eh. The crowd stopped laughing. They looked in the direction of the voice. The one who spoke was the young man on horseback. Yan Chuan. Zhao Kuo looked in disdain. Yan Chuan was holding a longbow in his hand. He pulled the bowstring and aimed it at Zhao Kuo. Ha ha ha, my lord, that Yan Chuan must be crazy. It's at least 2 li from here to his mountain. How can he pull the bowstring and aim it at you? A soldier laughed. Yes, there must be something wrong with his head. My lord, our 50,000 soldiers are making a mountain out of a molehill. The soldiers roared with laughter. For some reason, Zhao Kuo's hair stood on end. He felt a great sense of danger. How can this be? Zhao Kuo looked at the longbow in confusion. The longbow in Yan Chuan's hand was pulled more and more until it was a full moon. Lord, your arm is strong. Huo Guang praised. The first time Huo Guang pulled the bow, he only pulled it to a full moon. Quick, attack! Zhao Kuo shouted anxiously. Xiao! In the distance, Yan Chuan loosened his fingers. The shooting sun arrow turned into a golden ray of light and shot toward Zhao Kuo. Xiao! It was so fast that it made an ear-piercing sound. Protect the king! Protect the king! Zhao Kuo shouted. Huff! 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 The 15 soldiers quickly formed a human wall in front of Zhao Kuo. Pang! The shooting sun arrow crossed the distance of 2 li and appeared in the middle of the army. Boom! The front of the human wall exploded with a loud bang. The powerful explosive force of the shooting sun arrows instantly blew up the first 3 soldiers and pierced through the 4th soldier. Protect the emperor, protect! Do! Zhao Kuo panicked. Before he could finish his words, the shooting sun arrow nailed into his head. An arrow pierced through. Pa la! Zhao Kuo fell off his horse. This scene scared all the surrounding soldiers silly. The commander-in-chief was dead. He died just like that. That was 2 miles away. How could Yan Chuan's arrow shoot so far? Impossible. However, that wasn't the most frightening part. The most frightening part was the fact that the 12 soldiers had all fallen to the ground. A single arrow had pierced through 15 soldiers. How could it kill Zhao Kuo? No, this can't be true. A young general exclaimed in shock. The commander was shot dead, and the army was in an uproar. In the distance, Yan Chuan handed the longbow to Lu Jin. A look of indifference. Kill them all. Avenge the Grand Marshal. A young general shouted. Xiao. Another ray of light shot over. Boom. That young general was blasted apart. It was a soldier behind Yan Chuan. Although he couldn't fully draw the bowstring, he could still shoot from 2 li away. Behind Yan Chuan, 7 or 8 archers drew the bowstrings. The arrow shot toward the army of 50,000. The army of 50,000 and dozens of young generals were stunned. They didn't dare to move. They looked into the distance in shock and fear. Scram to the sides and get out of the way. Huo Guang shouted. Chapter 138. Whoosh! 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 The 50,000 soldiers moved to the side. Now that their commander was dead, no one dared to step forward. Hiya! 3,000 Jin-E soldiers rode toward them from afar. When they got close, Yan Chuan pulled the reins and the horses stopped again. 2 Jin-E soldiers quickly retrieved the shooting sun arrows. Sitting on his tall horse, Yan Chuan glanced at the young soldiers around Zhao Kuo. Zhao Kuo offended his superiors and was executed by me. Go back and tell Lord Zhao that the Yan dynasty still belongs to the Yan dynasty. Yan Chuan said coldly. Yes, yes. The soldiers said in fear. Let's go. Yan Chuan shouted. Hiya! 3,000 genie soldiers rode away on their horses, stirring up a cloud of dust. No one dared to stop them. Looking at the 3,000 genie soldiers leaving, one of the soldiers said, "We have 50,000 soldiers." "Why?" "That's a Dharma treasure." "Do you want to die?" The commander was killed by an arrow. Who would die without an order? Then what should we do? Report to the patriarch, report everything that happened just now to the patriarch. The 3,000 genie soldiers went straight to Yanjin. They met many city guards on the way, but no one dared to stop them after they showed their identities. 8 days later, they finally arrived at Yanjing under the powerful speed of the Fergana horse. Yan Chuan stopped his horse and looked at the city gate. The words, Yanjin, were carved on the gate. However, the city gate was closed. "Who are you? How dare you break into Yanjin?" A guard on the gate shouted. "Bastard! The emperor is here. Hurry up and greet him." Lu Jin glared at him. "Emperor equal to the emperor?" The faces of the guards on the city gate tower changed. "Lord, the people outside the city said that he is the emperor." The guards bowed to a general who came in a hurry. "The emperor?" The general's face changed. "General Lin, do you recognize me, Huo Guang?" Huo Guang asked the general. "Huo Guang? Aren't you?" The general's expression changed. "Cut the crap. The emperor is here. Hurry up and open the city gates. You actually closed the gates when you saw us coming. Do you think we're rebels?" Huo Guang shouted. General Lin wiped his sweat and said to Yan Chuan, "Your humble servant greets the Lord." "Has the five-nation talk started?" Yan Chuan asked indifferently. "Yes, in the Imperial City drill ground." General Lin replied immediately. "Then hurry up and open the door." Huo Guang shouted. "Lord, please wait for a moment. I will report this to His Majesty." "Bastard, how dare you stop the Lord?" Huo Guang glared at him. "Huo Guang, break the door. Let's go in." Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. "Understood." Huo Guang replied. Huo Guang took the lead. The sky splitter spear in his hand suddenly emitted a silver light. Hong! The city gate was blasted open, and the entire city tower shook violently. The soldiers on the city wall were shaken to the point of staggering. Hiya! Yan Chuan took the lead and rode his horse into the city. Giddy up! Giddy up! 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army followed closely behind. How is this possible?" General Lin cried out in shock. "General Hua. One shot. He broke the city gate with just one spear. 3,000 embroidered army, how tyrannical. Emperor equal to the emperor? The new emperor's equal is still the emperor's equal." Discussions broke out on the city gate tower. "Emperor alongside the emperor is back. Emperor alongside the emperor is back." As the 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army galloped on their horses, the news of the emperor's equal's return spread like a gust of wind across the entire Yanjing. All the major forces in Yanjing that were like a pool of stagnant water suddenly turned upside down. Countless people heard the news and moved. Chapter 139. Yanjing, in a luxurious mansion. A man in a luxurious robe passed through the corridors and rushed to a large hall. There were a few servants at the entrance of the hall and they quickly surrounded him. "Master, the person is already waiting in the main hall, but he's extremely arrogant." "This lowly one." The leader of the servants reported. "Shut up. Don't be rude." The man in the luxurious robe glared. "Yes." The servant shivered and immediately stopped talking. "Everyone, leave. Don't disturb me and the guest." The man in the luxurious robe said. "Yes." The servants quickly left. The man in the luxurious robe tidied his clothes and stepped into the hall. A white-clothed woman wearing a white veil and a bamboo hat sat in the hall. Her face couldn't be seen clearly, but her figure was extremely voluptuous. Her breasts and buttocks were extremely feminine. However, she was dressed in simple and elegant white clothes, which made her look both elegant and seductive at the same time. It was very impactful. Although she didn't take off her bamboo hat, her appearance was enough to make countless men hot. Changqing greets the eldest miss. The man in the luxurious robe didn't have a blasphemous expression, only respect. The woman held a cup of tea in her hand and put it down. Then, she gently took off her bamboo hat. When the bamboo hat was taken off, a beautiful face was revealed. Her skin was whiter than snow, her eyebrows were thin like willows, her lips were delicate, her nose was exquisite, and her neck was slender. Coupled with the beauty mark under her left eye, she made people feel an inexplicable desire. However, her clear eyes were like an iceberg, blocking people from 1,000 miles away. This woman didn't say anything, but just her appearance showed the difference between ice and fire. Changqing, in just a few years, you've already become the Prime Minister of the Yen state. Well done. The woman smiled faintly. This smile was like 100 flowers blooming. Even though Changqing respected her, he was slightly stunned. Changqing quickly lowered his head and blushed. He didn't dare to look at the woman. Eldest miss, you're too kind. It's just the mortal world's imperial court. I've been here for a few years already. How can I be mediocre? Changqing said humbly. Mortal world? Hee, father sent the few of you into the mortal world's imperial court to gather all kinds of information about the imperial court. How are you doing? The woman asked. Changqing naturally wouldn't dare to forget what the headmaster instructed me to do. I've organized all kinds of information about the mortal world into a book so that First Miss can bring it back to the academy and hand it over to the headmaster, Changqing said solemnly. That's good. The woman nodded in satisfaction. First Miss, will it be of any use to the academy if we enter the imperial court of the mortal world? Changqing asked in confusion. The woman sighed softly. There are 4 great academies in the world. Although our Julu Academy dominates the entire world, the academy is ultimately just a foil to the other great sections. Our luck is saturated and we can't advance any further. Although no one dares to offend us, we still feel like we're living under someone else's roof. The Grand Assembly was, in fact, a wedding dress for others. Once the world is in chaos, the academy will be the first to bear the brunt. In order to protect himself, he had no choice but to strengthen himself. Father searched for ancient books all over the world and finally found a few words in an ancient book. The woman said in a deep voice. An ancient book? That's right. Although it was just a few words, it gave Father a glimmer of hope. I hope that the few of you can find the hope of the Academy's prosperity in the various imperial courts. The woman said solemnly. Don't worry, eldest Mississippi. We'll do our best. Changqing said solemnly. Well, you've been in the Yen state for the past few days. What do you think of the Yen state? The woman asked curiously. Chapter 140. Changqing thought for a while and said, I don't understand the intricacies of it. The imperial court has its own complexities. Take the Yen state for example. There are all kinds of forces in the open, in the dark, and hidden. Oh. Tell me about it. The woman smiled. The first is the Yen Emperor. He's the leader of the country. The second is the Zhao family. They control 30% of the Yen state's military power. There are even some things that I can't see through. These two parties are the ones with the greatest authority and strength. Changqing introduced. What else? The woman continued. The third party is an old man waiting to die. Oh. His name is Yifeng. He's the imperial tutor of 3 dynasties. He's very capable, but he's now a shriveled old man. He's 92 years old and not far from death. He's already retired. But this person has disciples and old friends all over the Yen state. His disciples and old friends are in all the major forces. Old friends. Although he doesn't have any power, he's very famous. Oh. Old man. Yes. If he was still in the imperial court, how could I become the prime minister in such a short time? I've checked his information. He's a legend. When he was young, he was just a chess player. His talent was so strong that in 3 years, he defeated all the famous chess players in the Yen state. After that, he entered the imperial court and assisted 3 generations of emperors, doubling the territory of the Yen kingdom. At the age of 70, he resigned and retired. He did not allow his descendants to enter the imperial court and only allowed them to enter the business world. Under his guidance, he became the richest man in the Yen kingdom in just 10 years. Oh. He's very capable. He's very capable. Unfortunately, there's one thing that he can't change. What? Foundation. Yifeng's foundation is extremely poor. Even back then, Yen Tao of Yen country found pills from the cultivation world for him, but they couldn't increase his cultivation. His cultivation speed is as slow as a tortoise's, and his foundation is as rusty as copper. What a pity. What a pity. The woman nodded. Of course, there are also some small factions, small clans, and people with small reputations. I won't introduce them. The last person I want to introduce has a very special identity. The great Yen state's king, Yen Chuan. Changqing said after some thought. Yen Chuan. That's right. This person was blessed by his father. His father used to be the emperor of the Yen state. Later on, he entered the world of cultivation. Now that he is dead, he inherited the title of nobility. His status is equal to that of the Yen emperor. Unfortunately, he has no power or influence. All he has is the highest status. Changqing said regretfully. You've seen this person before? No, but it puzzles me. He is 17 years old this year and lives in seclusion in the mountains. However, some time ago, he sent the corpse of the eldest son of the Zhao clan to the Yen emperor. I don't know if it was intentional or not. It's hard to say. There are people you can't see through. Changqing really doesn't dare to talk nonsense since I haven't seen him before. Changqing laughed. Ta. 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 Suddenly, the sound of horse hooves came from outside. The sound seemed to come from the entrance of the Prime Minister's residence. Huh? Changqing frowned. What's wrong? First young miss, today is the Five-Nation talk. Horse riding is prohibited in the city. However, this sound seems to be quite a lot. Changqing said with a frown. 3,005 horses. The woman reported the number. First young miss has good hearing. Changqing admires you. Changqing said with a smile. I'm just a little better at counting. Go and ask. The woman said with a smile. Okay. Changqing answered. Servants. Changqing shouted outside. Soon, the servant from earlier ran in. The woman put on her bamboo hat at the right time. Chapter 141. What's going on outside? Changqing asked. Master, the Emperor Equals is back. The Emperor Equals? Yes, one of my family's servants was at the city gate. 3,000 soldiers from the Protector's battalion are all wearing luxurious robes and riding on Fergana horses. Their leader destroyed the city gate with a single thrust of his spear, and 3,000 of them entered the city. Oh. The Emperor Equals? The woman asked curiously. It's the Yen Chuan that I mentioned earlier. He's Yen Tao's son. Changqing explained. Yen Tao's son. Yen Tao. He was a hero of his generation at the Heavenly Bestowment Conference. What a pity. However, like father like son. Let's go and take a look. The woman smiled. If you're interested, then let's go. Changqing smiled. Yen Capital, Imperial Palace, Crown Prince Palace. Crown Prince Yen Wudi was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. Opposite him, the Dugu Sword Emperor stared at Yen Wudi and carefully supervised Yen Wudi's cultivation. How can you practice swordsmanship when your heart is not calm? The Dugu Sword Emperor said. Yen Wudi slowly opened his eyes and looked at the Dugu Sword Emperor. Master, today is the Five Nations Summit. It's held once every 20 years. I'm worried about my father. You've already stepped into the cultivation world. The mortal world has nothing to do with you anymore. What are you worried about? Moreover, the 3 consecrators who went with you to the Feng Shui formation have all reached the essence state after absorbing the dragon qi. With them around, what are you worried about? The Dugu Sword Emperor said. Master. You're right, Master. Yen Wudi's eyebrows relaxed slightly. That poison master fled to this area to recuperate. I can feel it. After I kill Poison Master, I'll bring you to my Dugu clan. Dugu Jianwang said in a deep voice. Master, who is that poisoner? Yen Wudi asked curiously. A Feng Shui master. At the same time, he is also your master's mortal enemy. The Dugu Sword Emperor glared at him. Death grudge? Yen Wudi nodded. Report. Suddenly, a Jiaohu voice came from outside the hall. Yen Wudi looked at the Dugu Sword Emperor, and the Dugu Sword Emperor nodded. Come in. Yen Wudi shouted. Soon, a guard rushed in. Reporting to the Crown Prince, the Emperor's equal has returned to the capital, and he even brought the June Protector camp back with him. He's been rampaging in the capital. The guard reported. Emperor equal to the Emperor? The Dugu Sword Emperor asked in confusion. Master, the Emperor equal to the Emperor is that Uncle Wang. You saw him in the formation last time, Yen Chuan. Yen Wudi explained. Yen Chuan. The Dugu Sword Emperor's expression changed slightly. The last time they met, Yen Chuan had left a deep impression on the Dugu Sword Emperor. Yen Capital, outside the palace, at the gate of the drill ground. Shoo. With a pull of the reins, the 3,000 Fergana horses suddenly neighed, and the sound spread in all directions. Yen Chuan's horse stood at the front. Sitting on the tall horse, Yen Chuan looked at the group of armed soldiers in front of him. Who are you? Get down from your horse and surrender. The leader shouted. Are you blind? This is the Emperor equal to the Emperor. Why aren't you paying your respects? Lu Jin's hoarse voice suddenly sounded. The Emperor equal to the Emperor? The faces of the soldiers changed. Lu Jin quickly took out a token. The token was purple and gold, and the words, Emperor equal to the Emperor, were engraved on it. We pay our respects to the Lord. Everyone immediately bowed. How long has the five-nation talk been going on? Yen Chuan asked indifferently. It has been 2 days and 2 nights. The leader said truthfully. Who came? Yen Chuan asked. Zheng, Chu, Korea, and Wei. The Crown Prince came in person, and the consecrators of each country and their respective armies. The leader said truthfully. Oh. Zheng's consecrators are also here. Is Lu Gang here? Yen Chuan asked with a smile. They are here. Zheng's people are very arrogant this time. Before the five-nation talk, they even injured a few of our brothers. The leader frowned. Arrogant? Ha ha ha, get out of the way. I want to go in. Yen Chuan laughed. The leader looked at Yen Chuan and thought about it with a frown. In the end, he did not dare to stop him. Yes. Lord, old slave, go and prepare your seat. Lu Jin asked. Go. Yan Chuan nodded in understanding. 500 men, follow me. Lu Jin looked at the embroidered uniform army. Yes. A young general answered. Giddy up. The soldiers split into two groups. Yan Chuan led the 2,500 embroidered uniform army soldiers to the drill ground. Lu Jin led the 500 embroidered uniform army soldiers to the imperial palace. Chapter 142. Yan Capital Drill Ground. The ground was paved with white stones and surrounded by high walls. Inside the walls was a huge drill ground. There were 5 different types of armor on the drill ground. They stood behind the 5 forces. In the north, Yan Emperor sat on the dragon throne in his dragon robe. Beside him stood a group of Yan state officials. In front of him was a large amount of delicious food and wine. However, no one was in the mood to pay attention to the fine wine. Instead, they were anxiously looking at the center of the drill ground. In the center of the drill ground, there were 2 powerhouses fighting each other. Red and blue light bloomed from their bodies. The battle was fierce and there was no clear winner. On the east side, there was another force. Among them was Zheng's exalted priest Lu Gang. Clearly, this party was Zheng's representative. One of them wore a 4-clawed dragon robe. He was the crown prince of the state of Zheng. However, the crown prince of the state of Zheng did not seem to be the leader of this group. Lu Gang sat next to the crown prince of the state of Zheng. Lu Gang, on the other hand, was talking to a middle-aged man. Third senior brother, I heard that you've reached the Qi state. Lu Gang whispered. That's right. A few months ago, when you and Master went to the Feng Shui array, I reached the Qi state. The Qi state feels different. The middle-aged man said proudly. That's right. Third senior brother is a genius. I've admired you for a long time. If there's anything I don't understand in the future, please enlighten me. Lu Gang said. Ha ha ha, we're brothers. That's what I should do. The third senior brother said with satisfaction. I heard that senior brother has 2 great demon pets. One of them is this 3-colored divine bull. It has boundless strength and boundless power. It's several times stronger than my previous demon snake. Lu Gang looked at the giant bull behind him and said. Your demon snake. Hiss. How can it compare to my sacred bull? Although we're both in the Qi state, 10 demon snakes are no match for my sacred bull. The third senior brother said disdainfully. That's right, that's right. And I heard that there's another demon pet. It's actually a rare flying demon beast. Even eldest senior brother is endlessly envious. Lu Gang exclaimed. Ha 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 ha. That's right. Eldest senior apprentice brother's strength is stronger than mine. But in terms of demon pets, I'm indeed endlessly envious every time I see my bat god. Third senior apprentice brother said complacently. Where is bat god? Lu Gang asked. I ordered it to look for food. Don't worry about it. Third senior brother smiled. Third senior brother's demonic beasts can be raised at will. It can be seen that third senior brother's ability to enslave demonic beasts has reached the acme of perfection. No one under Master's tutelage can surpass him. Lu Gang continued to flatter. Ha 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 ha. Third senior brother was elated. As Lu Gang fawned on third senior brother, he looked at the center of the field. Speaking of which, the game between the 5 nations this time is a little different from what I imagined. Third senior brother looked at the battle in the center of the field and said in a deep voice. Oh. Why does third senior brother say that? Lu Gang asked doubtfully. I originally wanted to see that little bastard Yan Chuan. Unfortunately, he's not here. Third senior brother said regretfully. Well, maybe he doesn't dare to come. Lu Gang smiled apologetically. Also, didn't you say that the consecrators of each country are all in the Qi state? Why are there so many in the Qi state? Yen state has 3, Korea has 8, Chu state has 7, and Wei state has 8? Third senior brother asked doubtfully. Them? They're the same as me. That day, they were brought into the feng shui formation by the ancestors of each dynasty. These people are also very lucky. When the dragon chi finally erupted, it turned into thousands of small dragon chi. These people may have gotten a share of it, so they're very lucky. Chapter 143. They have all reached the essence state. Lu Gang said after thinking for a while. Ha, so many essence state cultivators. It seems like Yen Emperor is going to have a headache. Third senior brother laughed. With Yen Tao dead, the Yen state is already at the end of its road. It's futile to struggle. Lu Gang glanced at Yen Emperor in disdain. The people of Zheng looked on coldly. The crown princes of Wei, Chu, and Han, as well as a group of experts, were seated on the east side, the west side, and the west side respectively. Everyone was staring at the battle in the center of the field. Boom! With a loud sound, the battle stopped abruptly. One person stood proudly in the center of the field, while the other person fell to the ground, covered in blood and unable to continue fighting. Old Zhang. Yen Emperor's expression changed. The two people beside him quickly went forward and helped the injured old Zhang up. The injured person stood up and said with shame, Yen Emperor, I'm useless. It's not your fault. Yen Emperor sighed. Take consecrator Zhang away to rest. Yen Emperor sighed. Yes. Consecrator Zhang lost. The other person returned to the west side. Yen Emperor, 20 cities. I thank Emperor Yen on behalf of my father, and thank you on behalf of Great Chu. The Crown Prince of Chu said with a smile. Yen Emperor looked at the Crown Prince of Chu with a gloomy face. He clenched his fists. Yen Emperor, every 20 years, the 5 countries have a game of chess. We don't fight each other on the battlefield. It's a tradition. In the past, there were victories and losses, but this time, Yen State's luck is not good. The Crown Prince of Chu said with a smile. Not good? Not necessarily, it should be good luck. A Crown Prince on the west side laughed. Oh. Crown Prince of Han. Why do you say that? The Crown Prince of Chu was puzzled. Yen State has 212 cities. Losing to us 20 cities per dynasty is only 80 cities. The Yen State still has 132 cities. The Crown Prince of Han said with a smile. Huh? Everyone looked at the Crown Prince of Korea in confusion. The Crown Prince of Korea stared at Yen Emperor and said, Yen Tao is already dead, and the Yen State has already lost the protection of the immortal sections. How can it be compared to our 4 dynasties? This time, we only lost 80 cities. This is the Yen State's great fortune, isn't it? That's right, we only lost 80 cities. Yen Emperor should be glad that we didn't bet too much at the beginning. On the other side, the Crown Prince of Wei Kingdom also agreed. Humph. Yen Emperor was so angry that his face turned green. 80 cities, 80 cities. Almost half of the Yen State had been lost in the past 2 days. Bastard, the Crown Prince of my dynasty has already entered the Celestial Sect. Who said that the Yen State does not have the protection of the Celestial Sect? A consecrator beside the Yen Emperor shouted. Yen State's Crown Prince? Just entered the Immortal Sect. Ha ha ha, Consecrator Wang, don't you know? The people of the Celestial Sect in the cultivation world pursue immortality. They don't care about the affairs of the mortal world, unless they are related by blood. Only then will they take care of their descendants. The Yen State's Crown Prince. Master Z is powerful, but so what? Will he help you to guard the country of Yen? The only thing you can wait for is for the Yen state's crown prince to mature. But he is just a mortal. Do you think it is possible for him to become an expert in such a short time? The crown prince of Korea said disdainfully. Yen Emperor stared at everyone, clenching his fists tightly. I, Yen Qiuyu, will abide by the rules of the 5 nations for hundreds of years. I will hand over the 80 cities as promised. The 5-nation talk is over. Everyone can leave now. Yen Emperor said with an ugly expression. Leave? Ha ha ha, Yen Emperor, it's over just like that. Lu Gang suddenly interrupted. Lu Gang. What do you mean? Yen Emperor said in a deep voice. Chapter 144. Nothing much. I just wanted to remind you that according to the agreement of the 5 states, if you lose, you can apply for a duel again. You can bet back. Lu Gang laughed. Yes, you can challenge us again. We are always ready. The Chu Crown Prince shouted. That's right. 80 cities. You don't want to bet back? The Crown Prince of Han laughed. I haven't had enough yet. At worst, we can bet less. Anyway, your Yen state has a lot of cities. If you lose them in the future, you might as well lose them today. Ha 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 ha. The Crown Prince of Wei laughed. You're going too far. Yen Emperor slapped the dragon throne and scolded. Ka ka ka. The Yen state army raised their weapons. Yen Emperor, what are you trying to do? If you dare to attack us, you will be betraying the agreement. Our 4 states will attack your Yen state and completely destroy your Yen state. The Crown Prince of Zheng glared. That's right. If I lose a single hair, I will bury the Yen state with me. The Crown Prince of Chu scolded. Yen Emperor, you can't. The subordinates stopped the angry Yen Emperor. Yen Emperor glared and suppressed the anger in his heart. He slowly sat down again. Ha 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 ha, Yen state. The former leader of the 5 states, Yen state. You can't even find someone you can use. Let me tell you. Consecrator Zhang, who lost to us just now, has already joined Chu. The Crown Prince of Chu sneered. What? Yen Emperor's eyes widened. Not far away, Consecrator Zhang, who was just brought down and covered in blood, suddenly stopped and turned his head. Crown Prince Chu, didn't you promise me that you won't say anything? Consecrator Zhang said with an ugly expression. What are you afraid of? Follow me from now on. You are a citizen of Chu. Who dares to touch you? The Crown Prince of Chu said proudly. But, sigh, all right. Consecrator Zhang nodded. Old Zhang, you. Yen Emperor stared at Consecrator Zhang in disbelief. Yen Emperor, you're very good to me, but the Yen state's power is gone. I've already reached the Essence Realm and will need to develop further in the future. Prince Chu said that he would introduce me to their old ancestor. I'm sorry. Consecrator Zhang smiled bitterly. Traitor, traitor. Yen Emperor shouted. Consecrator Zhang ignored him and walked towards Crown Prince Chu. His injury seemed to have healed in the blink of an eye. Clearly, the injuries just now were all fake. Ha ha ha, Yen Emperor, do you still want to continue? Is there anyone in your Yen state who can compete with me? The Chu Crown Prince laughed. Your Majesty, I will fight it out with them. Your Majesty, I will fight it out with them. Your Majesty, please give the order. I'll do it. Some of the old officials of the Yen state asked to fight, but these old officials had white eyebrows and hair. How could they have the strength to fight? Yen Emperor closed his eyes and a trace of sadness flashed across his face. Ha 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 ha. The Crown Princes laughed proudly. In the past, the 4 countries were suppressed by the Yen state. Now, the tables were turned. Even in the Yen state's home ground, Yen Emperor was suppressed by them. Are you going to compete or not? Yen Emperor, say something. The Crown Prince of Korea said sarcastically. Yeah, say something. Ha 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 ha. Today, the Yen state was humiliated, but Yen Emperor couldn't do anything. He was very depressed. Some of Great Yen's officers and soldiers even secretly wiped away their tears. The hatred of national humiliation was like the hatred of stealing one's wife. But they couldn't do anything about it. How sad. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da. Suddenly, the sound of a large number of horses came from outside the drill ground. Huh? Everyone looked at the gate of the drill ground in confusion. Boom. The gate was slammed open. A large amount of smoke and dust rose. Neigh! Neigh! A series of horse neighs pierced the sky. The smoke and dust dissipated. A large group of embroidered uniform army rode in. Yen Chuan rode in the front and slowly came over. His eyes were shining as he looked at the group. The soldiers followed closely behind. Each of them was full of vigor and battle intent. Who are you? Don't you know where this place is? The Crown Prince of Chu shouted. Chapter 145. Boom. The door was slammed open. Large amounts of smoke and dust were stirred up. Shoo! Shoo! A series of horse neighs pierced through the clouds. The smoke and dust dispersed. A large group of soldiers from the embroidered uniform army entered on horseback. Yen Chuan rode at the front, slowly approaching. His eyes shone brightly as he surveyed the group of people. The group of soldiers followed closely behind. All of them were brimming with vitality and battle intent. Who are you? Don't you know where this place is? The Crown Prince of Chu shouted. Yen Emperor, what do you mean? Who are they? Don't tell me you want to go back on your word. The Crown Prince of Han said coldly. Yen Emperor frowned and looked at this group of people. The group of Yen state experts all looked on in confusion. They seemed to have guessed something, but they were not sure. Only Lu Gang of the state of Zheng narrowed his eyes. Ha ha ha, isn't this the Yen state's emperor equal to the emperor? You're finally willing to come out. Lu Gang said coldly. Emperor equal to the emperor? Yen Tao's son. Yen Chuan. The group of crown princes all revealed surprised expressions. They all carefully sized up Yen Chuan, who was sitting on the tall horse. Emperor equal to emperor? Some of the mighty ones from the Yen state showed a glimmer of hope. But soon, this glimmer of hope disappeared. After all, the emperor was only a 17-year-old boy. This group of embroidered uniform army, is it the Lord Protector Battalion? What was the point of coming here now? Yen Emperor frowned and looked at Yen Chuan. He didn't know why Yen Chuan was here. Yen Chuan's gaze swept across the area. He paid some attention to the three-colored divine bull and glanced at Lu Gang's third senior brother, who was calmly drinking. After taking a look at the heads of the 5 nations, his gaze finally landed on Yen Emperor. Yen Qiuyu, why didn't you inform me about the 5-nation summit? Yen Chuan asked calmly. Huh? The 4 princes were slightly stunned. Calling Yen Emperor by his name? It wasn't just the people from the 4 nations. Even the experts from the Yen state were frowning at this moment. However, their anger disappeared in the blink of an eye. This was because in the Yen state, Yen Chuan was indeed qualified to address the Yen Emperor as Yen Qiuyu. His status was equal to that of the Yen Emperor. Naturally, he would address the Yen Emperor by his name. 300 years ago, Yen Tao abdicated his position to ancestor Yen Di. If it weren't for the fact that Yen Chuan had the status of Emperor equal to 1, he should still be Emperor Yen Emperor Senior. However, because of his status as Yen Emperor's equal, Yen Emperor could absolutely accept Yen Chuan calling him by his name. I thought I could solve it. Yen Emperor smiled bitterly. It doesn't matter. What's the result now? Yan Chuan didn't want to dwell on this matter anymore. Result? Ha ha ha, your Yen state lost 80 cities to our 4 nations. You're late. The Chu prince laughed. No, it's useless even if I'm early. The Korean prince said disdainfully. Yan Chuan smiled faintly. Late? Who said I'm late? As long as none of you leave, it's not late. Oh. You still want to bet? The Korean prince's eyes lit up. Yes, if you want to bet, you can continue. As long as you can represent the Yen state. The Chu prince said excitedly. The princes went to the Yen state today, and they also contributed to their respective nations. The more cities they obtained, the greater their contributions when they returned. Yan Chuan ignored the princes and looked at Lu Gang. Consecrator Lu, we meet again. Yan Chuan smiled. Yes, we meet again. Lu Gang also said coldly. Last time in the array, Zheng lost 42 cities to me. Did you give it back? Yan Chuan asked with a smile. Chapter 146. Everyone looked at Lu Gang. Why does Zheng owe Yen state cities? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? How is that possible? Yen state is already at the end of its rope, and you still want to owe me 42 cities? Lu Gang said angrily. Ha ha ha, Lu Gang, think carefully before you speak. You didn't agree to give us 42 cities. If you dare to go back on your word, you'll be smearing King Mai's reputation. Do you dare to go back on your word? Yan Chuan glared at him. Do you dare to go back on your word? Yan Chuan emphasized those words. It was as if a sledgehammer was smashing down on Lu Gang. Lu Gang opened his mouth to argue, but when the words reached his mouth, he restrained himself. You. It's fine. The game between the 5 nations isn't over yet. Let's continue. You can bet your way back. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Is that true? The Chu crown prince looked at Lu Gang in surprise. Zheng owes Yen state cities. How is that possible? The Korean crown prince was also surprised. Lu Gang's face turned red, but he didn't refute. Dismount. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes. The embroidered uniform army replied. Rumble. Yan Chuan led more than 2,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers down from their horses. Dismounting, Yan Chuan stepped forward. He walked to the south of the arena. Huo Guang followed closely behind. He glared at everyone. Lu Gang, everyone from Zheng, sit down. I'm here. This is just the beginning. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Hiya. Hiya. The sound of horses galloping could be heard from the entrance of the arena. Lu Jin had returned. Lu Jin led 500 soldiers to the arena and dismounted. At the same time, several soldiers were carrying a huge object. The dragon throne? His Majesty's dragon throne? An old Yen state official exclaimed. What Lu Jin brought back was a 9 dragons heavenly throne. This dragon throne was much larger than the one Yen emperor was sitting on. The first seat of the Yen state. The crowd of Yen state's old ministers was about to get angry, but halfway through, their anger was completely vented. The dragon throne was the symbol of the emperor and could not be tarnished by others. Apart from the emperor, no one could sit on it. However, the person in front of him was a king who stood shoulder to shoulder. His status was the same as Yen emperors. What should he say? He was indeed qualified to sit on the dragon throne. Sigh. The group of old officials were at a loss for words. Yen emperor narrowed his eyes and stared at the dragon throne that belonged to him. Quang. The dragon throne fell to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. Lord. Lu Jin said respectfully. Yan Chuan nodded with satisfaction. Lifting his robe, Yan Chuan slowly sat down. One in the north and one in the south, the two dragon thrones were facing each other. Yan Emperor and Yan Chuan. The two people with the highest status in the Yan state were sitting side by side. The crown princes around had a strange expression. However, no one said anything. With one hand holding the Jade Emperor's sword and the other on the armrest of the dragon throne, Yan Chuan closed his eyes and recalled. Yan Chuan, do you want to bet? Yan Chuan, can you represent the Yan state? The group of crown princes shouted. Yan Chuan opened his eyes slightly and glanced around. In the Yan state, I can represent everything in the Yan state. Yan Emperor frowned. He stared at Yan Chuan. However, after a while, Yan Emperor's brows relaxed. The previous humiliation of the crown princes had a great impact on Yan Emperor. Seeing that Yan Emperor did not object, the crown princes' faces were filled with joy. Okay, in that case, let's start. Chu Prince said excitedly. However, Yan Chuan did not even look at him. Instead, he said indifferently, Huo Guang. Chapter 147. Yes, Your Majesty. Huo Guang said. Your Majesty. Huo Guang was a subject, but that should be Yan Emperor's subject. To Yan Chuan, he should only address him as subordinate, subordinate, or subordinate. Addressing himself as subject was only for the emperor. But now, Huo Guang was addressing himself as subject. This subject seemed to indicate something. Everyone looked at him in surprise. Yan Chuan also looked at Huo Guang. He stared at Huo Guang for a while. In the end, Yan Chuan did not object. Instead, he showed a gratified smile. On the other side, Yan Emperor did not feel so good. However, Yan Chuan's status was the same as his. At this moment, people from outside the imperial court were present, so Yan Emperor did not object. Only a group of old officials were at a loss at this moment. They did not know what to say. Go, challenge the experts of Zheng. According to the previous rules, a battle of 20 cities. Yan Chuan said lightly. This subject obeys the decree. Huo Guang replied. Huo Guang walked to the center of the field and smashed the sky-piercing spear into the ground. Boom! The stone floor cracked. Zheng, who dares to fight? Huo Guang roared. Yan capital, Crown Prince Palace. Oh, no, Crown Prince. A guard shouted again. Come in. Yan Wudi said in a low voice. The guard rushed into the hall and immediately shouted, Crown Prince, 500 people just came and took away the throne. 500 people. Bastard, where are the palace guards? Yan Wudi frowned. We can't stop them, we can't stop them at all. The combat power of those 500 people is too strong. No, just 100 people defeated 1,000 guards. The guard said with an ugly expression. What? Oh, right, they said that they received the order of the emperor equal to 1. But it's impossible for the Lord Protector's battalion to be so powerful. The guard said in disbelief. Yan Chuan. The Dugu Sword Emperor was surprised. Master, it should be Uncle Wang. Yan Wudi said. The Dugu Sword Emperor smiled and said, that kid does have some skills. Come, let's go take a look. With a wave of his hand, he led Yan Wudi out of the Crown Prince Palace and into the sky. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the clouds. Ah! The Crown Prince's palace guards exclaimed as they looked up at the sky. He flew into the clouds and overlooked the entire Beijing. At the drill ground. Yan Wudi immediately saw Yan Chuan and his party. Standing in the air, Yan Wudi stared down at the drill ground, while the Dugu Sword Emperor narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. In the distance, above a white cloud. At this moment, two figures were standing there. They were the Yen state's prime minister, Changqing, and a woman wearing a bamboo hat. Miss, the young man sitting on the dragon throne is Yen Chuan. Changqing explained. Yes. The woman nodded. She seemed to have sensed something and looked into the distance. The Dugu Sword Emperor and the woman looked at each other, but neither of them responded to the other. They both looked down. Lu Gang didn't respond, but the Crown Prince of Chu shouted first. For this battle, my Chu state will go first. The Crown Prince of Chu shouted. Consecrator Zhang, you just joined my Chu state. This battle is yours. The Crown Prince of Chu said to the Yen state's consecrator who had just surrendered. Yes. The consecrator stepped into the arena solemnly. Consecrator Zhang had witnessed Hu Guang's breakthrough. However, he was confident that he had more experience, so he accepted the challenge calmly. The moment Consecrator Zhang stepped out, Yen Chuan recognized him. Back then, in the Feng Shui formation, this person was following behind Yen Wudi. A consecrator of the Yen state had actually surrendered to Chu state. Treason. Yen Chuan's eyes turned cold. Hu Guang. Yen Chuan said indifferently. Your subject is here. Hu Guang looked at Yen Chuan respectfully. The surrounding princes looked at Yen Chuan in confusion. You are allowed to kill. Yen Chuan said in a heavy tone. Yes. Hu Guang said excitedly. The princes were stunned. Humph, shameless boasting. Kill. I wonder who will kill who. The Crown Prince of Chu said angrily. Chapter 148. Humph, shameless boasting. Kill. I wonder who will be the one to kill. The Prince of Chu said angrily. Yen Chuan ignored him. Holding the Jade Emperor sword, he looked around coldly and inadvertently glanced at third senior brother beside Lu Gang. Hu Guang stared at Honorary Zhang and said, I, Hu Guang, hate traitors the most. Traitor? Humph, I am just an honorary. I can stay and leave the Yen kingdom whenever I want. Honorary Zhang did not feel guilty at all. The Yen kingdom has raised you for so many years, and this is how you repay them. Even if you raise a dog, you will know loyalty. And you are worse than a dog. Hu Guang shouted. You dare to call me a dog? Kid, you are courting death. Honorary Zhang glared. He waved the long sword in his hand, and a blue sword light appeared and pierced towards Hu Guang. Humph. Hu Guang glared and pulled out the long spear from the ground. Die. Hu Guang shouted angrily. He took a step forward, and with a twist of his foot, he exerted force, and a large number of cracks appeared on the ground. Wang! The long spear emitted a white light, and collided with the blue sword light. Boom! The two weapons collided, and Honorary Zhang's long sword suddenly broke into two. How can this be? Honorary Zhang exclaimed. At this moment, Hu Guang glared, and the army destroyer will appeared again, and a fierce murderous aura shot towards Honorary Zhang. The murderous aura was so strong that it shook Honorary Zhang's mind. Chi! The long spear suddenly pierced through Honorary Zhang's chest, and blood splattered everywhere. The battle stopped, and only the sound of blood dripping from the tip of the spear could be heard. Everyone around looked surprised. No one expected the battle to end so quickly, and before anyone could react, it was over. Dead? So fast. One round. Just one round. The Prince of Chu looked at Honorary Zhang in disbelief. Honorary Zhang's chest was pierced, but he was not completely dead. He stared at Hu Guang, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. What kind of spear is this? Consecrator Zhang asked weakly. The gun that killed the old dog. Hu Guang said coldly. With a shake of his hand, the long spear trembled violently. Boom! Consecrator Zhang exploded, his flesh and blood splattering all over the ground. His death was extremely tragic, and the scene was extremely bloody. The head rolled to the feet of the Crown Prince of Chu, who retreated in fear. Ah, ah. The Crown Prince of Chu was so scared by Consecrator Zhang's head that he fell to the ground. Ha 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 ha. The Yan state soldiers all burst into laughter. No matter what, Huo Guang was, after all, the representative of Great Yan. Therefore, all the captains and soldiers were extremely excited at the moment. Yan Di narrowed his eyes and stared at Huo Guang. How great would it be if this person were my subject? Yan Emperor sighed in his heart. The crown princes of the four dynasties all wore unsightly expressions. Huo Guang killed Consecrator Zhang with a single spear strike and looked in Zheng's direction again. Huo Guang, challenge Zheng again. Huo Guang shouted. As Huo Guang approached, the crown prince of Zheng's expression changed. The other consecrators behind him all wore unsightly expressions. They wanted to step forward, but Consecrator Zhang's death was too tragic. Who would be willing to die? 1 round, just 1 round. The Crown Prince of Zheng was about to point out the consecrator. Lu Gang suddenly stopped the Crown Prince and shook his head lightly. Third senior brother, this person is Huo Guang. He ruined Master's plan in the formation and stole the will of the Alcade Star. Lu Gang introduced him to his third senior brother who was drinking wine. No wonder. Humph, since he dared to ruin Master's plan, you can go and teach him a lesson. Third senior brother said while drinking wine. But he has the will of the Alcade Star. I'm worried. Lu Gang showed a hint of embarrassment. You can't beat him. Third senior brother said disdainfully. Chapter 149. Yes, I can't beat him. Lu Gang admitted defeat. Third senior brother. Bring my 3-colored sacred bull up. Third senior brother said helplessly. Thank you, third senior brother. Lu Gang said excitedly. Zhenghua, does anyone dare to fight? Huo Guang shouted again. I'll do it. Lu Gang suddenly shouted. As he spoke, Lu Gang stepped forward. Honorable Lu. It's been a long time. Huo Guang waved his spear and said in a low voice. According to my information, you were only at level 6 of the power realm last year. I didn't expect you to reach the essence realm in such a short time. What a heaven-defying luck. Lu Gang said with jealousy in his eyes. Don't talk nonsense. Since you're willing to fight, let's begin. Huo Guang shouted. Moo. Behind Zhenghua, the 2-story tall bull let out a roar and stepped forward. Boom. Boom. Boom, the sacred bull stepped on the ground and the earth rumbled. Lu Gang, what's the meaning of this? Huo Guang shouted. Nothing. This sacred bull is my beast pet. Naturally, it will fight with me. If you have any beasts, you can invite them out. Lu Gang smiled. The sacred bull glared at Lu Gang. It was obviously angry that Lu Gang called it his beast pet. 3-colored sacred bull, don't be rude. Third senior brother shouted from behind. Only then did the sacred bull unwillingly acknowledge Lu Gang. High up in the sky. Shameless. Master, this Zhenghua is too shameless. Yan Wudi said anxiously. The Dugu Sword Emperor stared down. The spear in Huo Guang's hand is actually the sky-splitting spear. No, the 3,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers all have sky-splitting spears. Where did this Yan Chuan find so many? Master, what did you say? Yan Wudi was puzzled. Let's wait and see. Yan Chuan obviously came prepared. On the other side of the clouds. This is Yan Chuan. You said he's 17. The woman asked doubtfully. Yeah, I find it strange. He seems to be a little too arrogant. Changqing shook his head. Arrogant? No, I feel like he's referring to something else. The woman pondered for a moment. Below. The divine bull stepped onto the stage and charged towards Huoguang. Men! Yan Chuan suddenly shouted. Here! The embroidered uniform army suddenly shouted. This beast is interfering with Huoguang's fight. Kill it! Yan Chuan shouted. Kill him! Killing demonic beasts? How could this be? Everyone looked at him in surprise. Ha ha ha, Yan Chuan, you want to kill the three-colored divine cow? Dream on, the three-colored divine bull is invulnerable, who can harm it? Don't anger the three-colored divine bull, it will trample you to death. If that happens, I won't be able to stop it. Lu Gang laughed and shouted from afar. Ka ka ka. The embroidered uniform army did not listen to Lu Gang's nonsense. About 10 of them suddenly pulled their heaven-shocking bows. Bang! 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 10 sun-shooting arrows suddenly turned into 10 streaks of light and shot towards the three-colored divine bull. Boom! 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 The sun-shooting arrows were all stuck in the three-colored divine bull's body. Half of the arrow tails were left behind. The so-called invulnerability was actually unable to block 10 arrow feathers. Moo! The three-colored divine bull let out a long cry of pain. At the same time, it was enraged. What? How is this possible? Lu Gang and the third senior brother both revealed looks of shock. The skin of the three-colored divine bull was not something that could be pierced by mortal weapons. Moo! The three-colored divine bull roared angrily and turned to look in Yan Chuan's direction. Chapter 150. The beast's skin is thick. Shoot its eyes. 1,000 archers, shoot! Yan Chuan shouted. Yes. The 1,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers drew their bows again. Shoot! Yan Chuan shouted. Stop! Third senior brother shouted. Bang! 1,000 shooting sun arrows shot toward the tricolored sacred bull. Boom! Boom! The tricolored sacred bull was knocked to the ground by the rain of arrows. Its body was full of arrows, and 2 shooting sun arrows were stuck in its eyes. Blood flowed out of its eyes. Moo! Moo! The tricolored sacred bull cried out in pain. Rumble! The tricolored sacred bull rolled on the ground and pounced toward Yan Chuan, enduring the pain all over its body. Don't go! Lu Gang shouted. Clang! Huoguang waved his spear and blocked Lu Gang. Rumble! The tricolored sacred bull was about to reach him. Shoot! Bang! Another 1,000 arrows were shot, and the tricolored sacred bull's speed decreased. However, its huge body was about to reach Yan Chuan. Its body was full of arrows, and its eyes were shot blind. The tricolored sacred bull charged toward Yan Chuan in a frenzy. It was as if it wanted to kill the culprit. Die! The embroidered uniform army soldiers quickly stabbed the sacred bull with their spears. Moo! Boom! The sacred bull was very strong. When its body collided, the embroidered uniform army soldiers were sent flying. The sacred bull seemed to have locked onto Yan Chuan. After colliding with the embroidered uniform army soldiers, it charged toward Yan Chuan. Humph! Yan Chuan's eyes turned cold. The Jade Emperor sword in his hands suddenly trembled and let out a crisp buzzing sound. Buzz! He stepped forward to meet the sacred bull. High in the sky. The Dugu Sword Emperor glared. Vibrating sword? How does he know how to vibrate sword? Master, what is vibrating sword? Yen Wudi asked doubtfully. Yes, it's that vibrating sword. This is a profound sword technique that allows the sword to vibrate at a high frequency, making it invincible. The Dugu Sword Emperor exclaimed. Invincible? Yen Wudi asked in disbelief. That's right. This method of wielding the sword is very difficult to achieve, but once you do, the power of the sword will increase exponentially. Don't underestimate the vibrating sword. In theory, when the vibrating frequency of ordinary metal reaches a certain level, it can cut through immortal equipment. The Dugu Sword Emperor said solemnly. Huh? Yen Wudi opened his mouth in shock. On the other side of the sky. As expected, I knew that this Yen Chuan's goal was definitely not some competition. The woman laughed. Not a duel. Then why did they send Huguang up? Changqing was puzzled. Just watch. It's about to get interesting, the woman said with a smile. Below. Yen Chuan's Jade Emperor sword suddenly stabbed forward. Buzz. The vibrations of the Jade Emperor sword became more and more intense. Moo, the sacred bull roared. You're courting death. On the other side, the third senior brother showed a hint of disdain. He originally wanted to go forward, but seeing that the sacred bull was about to crush Yen Chuan to death, the third senior brother stopped. As for Yen Chuan's sword, it would definitely not be able to pierce through the sacred bull's skin. The third senior brother could clearly see that Yen Chuan's cultivation was only at LV9 of the power realm. Just the power realm. Boom. Yen Chuan and the sacred bull collided, and the Jade Emperor's sword pierced the sacred bull's heart. Tisk. The invulnerable cowhide was actually pierced by the Jade Emperor's sword with a single stab. Furthermore, it instantly pierced deep into it. Moo, the sacred bull roared in pain. How is this possible? The third senior brother exclaimed. What kind of weapon is that? Is this demonic bull an empty shell? It must be an empty shell. Otherwise, how could it not block the arrow and the sword? Everyone around revealed a puzzled expression. Yen Chuan stabbed the sacred bull's heart, and the sacred bull could no longer move. After killing the bull, Yen Chuan was about to pull out the Jade Emperor sword. Yen Chuan raised his eyebrows. Gulp. Gulp, the Jade Emperor sword made a strange sound. Drinking blood? The Jade Emperor sword is drinking blood? Yen Chuan looked at the sword hilt in surprise. Chapter 151. Drinking blood? The Jade Emperor's sword is drinking blood? Yen Chuan looked at the sword hilt in shock. Gulp, gulp. The Jade Emperor's sword was absorbing the blood of the tricolor sacred bull. Moreover, as it drank the blood, the sword hilt turned red. An evil aura was emitted from the sword hilt. The evil aura of the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus? No, it's not the evil aura. This evil aura has mutated. Yen Chuan's face changed. Chi. Yen Chuan pulled out the Jade Emperor's sword. The Jade Emperor's sword was originally black, but now it had turned bright red. The Jade Emperor's sword was emitting a bloody mist. At the sword hilt, a stream of energy was being injected into Yen Chuan's body. Yen Chuan's eyes widened. With a shake of his hand, the bloody mist was dispersed. The energy that was being injected into Yen Chuan's body was also dispersed by Yen Chuan. The Jade Emperor's sword is drinking blood and absorbing the power of blood and chi essence. And it's even giving me some of it. Is the sword turning into a demon? Yen Chuan frowned as he looked at the Jade Emperor's sword in his hand. I understand now. The Iron Jade's essence has been contaminated by the evil aura of the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus and mutated. Unfortunately, the chi essence you are giving me is too evil. I can't use it. Buzz. The Jade Emperor's sword trembled slightly. My second Emperor's sword is actually an evil sword. Yen Chuan's face revealed a strange expression. Tricolor. A sorrowful voice came from afar. An angry roar resounded throughout the drill ground. Yen Chuan immediately came to his senses. Now was not the time to be entangled with the Jade Emperor's sword. He raised his head and looked at the angry third senior brother. Lu Gang's third senior brother Zhou Che blew a gust of wind in all directions. His powerful aura forced the people around him to stagger. Whoosh! Third senior brother Zhou Che rushed towards him in the blink of an eye. Shoot! A large number of shooting sun arrows shot towards third senior brother Zhou Che. Bang! A wall of qi suddenly appeared around third senior brother, and all the arrows stopped one zhang away from third senior brother. Qi Jing. Yan Chuan squinted his eyes and stepped back. Third senior brother stroked the three-colored divine bull. However, the three-colored divine bull had already lost all signs of life. It was dead. Dead, he's actually dead. Third senior brother's eyes were filled with rage. He suddenly turned his head and looked coldly at Yan Chuan. You killed my demon pet. I want you to be buried with him. Third senior brother said in a cold tone. Ka ka ka. The 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army drew their bows. High in the sky. Master, is that person really in the Qi Jing stage? Yan Wudi asked anxiously. That's right. To be able to form a Qi wall, he should be in the Qi realm. However, he should have just reached the Qi realm not too long ago. The Dugu Sword Emperor nodded. Strength state, essence state, Qi state. That person is 2 levels higher than Uncle Wang. Master, why don't you help Uncle Wang? Yan Wudi asked worriedly. The Dugu Sword Emperor squinted his eyes and looked down. A flash of confusion appeared in his eyes. However, after seeing his disciples pleading, the Dugu Sword Emperor nodded and said, If Yan Chuan is in danger, I will save him. Thank you, Master. Yan Wudi nodded. On the other side, Changqing and the girl were also looking down. Young mistress, that person is definitely in the Qi Jing stage. Could it be that Yan Chuan? Changqing asked in disbelief. That's right. Yan Chuan purposely angered this Qi Jing master. The girl nodded. But Yan Chuan can't possibly know him. Of all the people here, Yan Chuan has only seen the portraits of Yan Emperor. It must be a coincidence that this Qi Jing master is here today. Changqing frowned. Are you sure that Yan Chuan has never seen him before? The girl asked in surprise. Chapter 152. Absolutely not. He came here by chance. Changqing said confidently. But from the beginning, I felt that Yan Chuan pretended to inadvertently glance at him a few times. This person's cultivation is the highest here. Yan Chuan paid attention to him as soon as he entered the drill ground, unless what? Unless Yan Chuan has amazing eyesight and could see through this person's cultivation level the moment he entered the drill ground. The lady said. How is that possible? Didn't you say that Yan Chuan is at LV9? He is at LV9. But some people can see through others even if they have no cultivation level. Yan Chuan is only 17. He shouldn't be so powerful. Changqing said in disbelief. Let's wait and see. The lady said seriously. Below. Yan Chuan was protected by 3,000 brocade army soldiers. Shoot! Lu Jin shouted. Boom! 3,000 shooting sun arrows shot toward third senior brother like a meteor shower, fiercely crashing into him. Humph! Third senior brother snorted. A strong wind blew around him and a strong qi wall appeared again. Boom! 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 Although the shooting sun arrows were powerful, they were still blocked by the strong qi wall. However, 3,000 shooting sun arrows were too many. It was like a wall of arrows hitting third senior brother. Rumble. Even someone in the Qi realm was pushed back more than 30 meters by the rain of arrows. The rain of arrows came one after another, leaving no gaps. Third senior brother was powerful, but he could only set up the chi wall to block the rain of arrows. Shooting sun arrows. They are all shooting sun arrows. Third senior brother was surprised. Although 3,000 shooting sun arrows couldn't hurt third senior brother, it made him realize that this army was not as easy to bully as he thought. They were not ants. Gradually, his anger was suppressed. Third senior brother calmed down and looked at the army in front of him seriously. Not far away, Lu Gang opened his mouth in shock. He didn't expect the powerful third senior brother to be suppressed. Stop! Yan Chuan abruptly roared. Huh? The 3,000 embroidered uniform army soldiers looked at Yan Chuan in confusion, but they still obeyed and quickly stopped shooting. At this moment, third senior brother had already suppressed his anger and coldly looked at Yan Chuan, who was being protected. Similarly, a trace of doubt flashed in his eyes. He didn't understand why Yan Chuan had stopped. Get out of the way! Yan Chuan shouted at the embroidered uniform army in front of him. Yes. The members of the embroidered uniform army slowly moved aside in confusion, allowing Yan Chuan to face third senior brother. It was as if the door was wide open, giving third senior brother an excellent opportunity to kill him. At this moment, if third senior brother were to attack, he would definitely be able to kill Yan Chuan in the blink of an eye. However, third senior brother didn't make a move. He just held his sword and looked coldly at Yan Chuan. He couldn't tell what Yan Chuan's intentions were. What is he doing? Send himself to death? No, he has 3,000 heaven-shocking bows, he can block me for a while, but why did he give up? Could there be another scheme? Thoughts flashed through third senior brother's mind, and he hesitated for a moment. High up in the sky. The woman exclaimed, amazing. What? Changqing asked in confusion. This Yan Chuan is not simple. He has controlled his opponent's emotions. The woman said with certainty. Manipulation? How is that possible? What does Miss mean? Changqing still did not understand. In a short period of time, Yan Chuan has planted an emotion in that person's heart. What emotion? Suspicious. The woman said with certainty. Suspicious? Rooted emotions? Changqing doesn't understand, please enlighten me, Mississippi, it's normal that you don't understand. I also heard father mention it not long ago. Some true experts are not in martial arts, but in their temperament. No matter how strong the opponent is, once they control the opponent's emotions, they will be in an invincible position. The woman explained. Chapter 153. For example, just now, if Yan Chuan attacked that person right from the start, do you think he would hesitate as he did now? The woman asked. If it was me, I definitely wouldn't. Although Yan Chuan has 3,000 sky-shattering bows, he can't hurt me at all. If I was in the chi state, I would be able to take Yan Chuan's head in a flurry of arrows. Why would I hesitate? Yeah, why would I hesitate? But he hesitated again. The woman sighed. Why? Yan Chuan killed his pet first, igniting his anger and messing up his mind. Then, 3,000 shooting sun arrows were shot together, showing the power to suppress him. Shaking his mind. First, he messed up his mind, then shook his mind. After this process, many people thought they had calmed down. But, the calmness now is different from the calmness at the beginning. The woman said. Messing up his mind, then shaking his mind. Although you've calmed down, you're still suspicious. Changqing was enlightened. That's right, it adds a sense of suspicion. Plus, now that Yan Chuan is wide open and has removed his defense, it made him even more suspicious. The woman said. Yan Chuan can't have thought so much in such a short time. Changqing's face twitched in disbelief. But that's the truth. But, Yan Chuan is only in the strength state. So what if he hesitated? How can a strength state defeat a chi state? Changqing said in disbelief. I don't know either. Keep watching. The woman shook her head. Below, Yan Chuan was wide open, facing third senior brother. Ha 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 ha, initial chi state. You're King Mai's disciple. Yan Chuan laughed. His laughter was full of sarcasm. Seeing Yan Chuan's arrogant attitude, third senior brother hesitated even more. But his opponent was only in the strength state. That's right. But you killed my pet, so you must die today. Third senior brother said coldly. I must die. Ha, some people don't even know that death is coming, and you want me to die. Ridiculous. Yan Chuan sneered. I'm dead. Ha 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 ha, you're the laughable one. Third senior brother said in disbelief. Your chi realm hasn't stabilized yet, and you're already showing off. Judging from your complexion, it's obvious that your essence is in a mess, and your chi is about to burst out of your acupoints. In less than 3 days, his body will explode and he will die. Yan Chuan shouted. The surrounding people all revealed blank expressions, as if they were listening to a heavenly book. In less than 3 days, he would explode and die. Bullshit. You're the one who's about to break through the acupoints. You're just in the strength state, what do you know? You still dare to teach me? Third senior brother suddenly shouted. Obviously, third senior brother did not believe Yan Chuan's words. You don't believe me? Press 3 inches and 2 centimeters below the center of your left ribs. We'll know once we try. Yan Chuan was still brimming with confidence. Why should I listen to you? Third senior brother glanced at his ribs and shouted. Your hands are on your body. It's your business whether you try or not. Yan Chuan was still confident. Third senior brother was already suspicious at this moment. Seeing Yan Chuan full of confidence, he did not know why he suddenly had some doubts. Humph, try, just try. After I try, I'll kill you. Third senior brother shouted. As he spoke, he pointed his finger at the place where Yan Chuan said and pressed gently. Puff. Third senior brother's body suddenly shook. He could not help but shake, as if he could not control it. How could this be? How could this be? Third senior brother's face immediately dripped with big beads of sweat, his face full of panic. Press down hard. You'll know. Yan Chuan shouted again. Third senior brother panicked, listening to Yan Chuan's words, and pressed down hard. Bang! Third senior brother's body suddenly emitted a sound of explosion. Ah! Third senior brother fell down softly, his whole body twitching, unable to move. Third senior brother. Lu Gang exclaimed. High in the sky, the Dugu Sword Emperor, Yan Wudi, Changqing, and the first miss all gaped in shock. Master, why did that person collapse? Yan Wudi asked in confusion. First miss, what's going on? Could it be that his cultivation is really unstable? Changqing asked in confusion. Below, Yan Chuan stepped forward. Why? Why do I have no strength? Third senior brother looked at Yan Chuan as he twitched. Looking at third senior brother, Yan Chuan had a strange expression on his face. I've seen stupid people, but I've never seen someone as stupid as you. You cut off your own meridians. You still want to have strength? Yan Chuan said as he shook his head. I cut off my own meridians. I'm fine. You lied to me. Third senior brother understood. It turned out that he was powerless. It was caused by himself. He crippled himself. Despicable person, you lied to me. Third senior brother said in grief, wanting to cry but having no tears. Chapter 154. Third senior brother finally understood. It turned out that the weakness in his body was caused by himself. Did he cripple himself? Despicable bastard, you lied to me. The third senior brother said in grief. The third senior brother was filled with grief and hatred, but there was no medicine for regret. He collapsed on the ground, and no matter how much he screamed, he couldn't change the fact that he had lost. In the sky, the four people looked down in shock. Miss, why is that guy so stupid? Changqing asked. No, he's not stupid. The woman shook her head. Oh. It's because he just reached the Qi Jing realm, and didn't fully understand his own Qi meridians. If it was someone who had reached the Qi Jing realm for many years, he would have understood it the moment he touched his Qi meridians. But he was tricked by Yan Chuan again and again, and even cut off his own Qi meridians. Ha! Unbelievable. The woman said. Because he was confused, he fell into Yan Chuan's trap. Changqing nodded. Yes, but more importantly, Yan Chuan's eyes are sharp. How did Yan Chuan see through his cultivation? The woman pondered. Miss, you don't know. Changqing was surprised. The woman shook her head. On the other side. Looks like I don't have to do anything. The Dugu Sword Emperor looked down with a strange expression. Master, why is Uncle Wang so? Yan Wudi frowned. Is he strong? Ha, he is. I think he learned it from Yen Tao. Back then, Yen Tao was a genius. If it wasn't for that incident, sigh. The Dugu Sword Emperor sighed. Below. Liar. The third senior brother said in grief. But no one sympathized with him. Third senior brother. Lu Gang shouted. Dang! Huo Guang waved his spear and blocked Lu Gang's path. Yen Emperor, let's call it a day. Let's go back. The Crown Prince of Chu stammered. That's right, Yen Emperor. I think we should forget about the city from before. Farewell. The Crown Prince of Han also immediately called out. After the strength of the embroidered uniform army was displayed, the Crown Princes retreated one after another. What was the point of fighting? Even the Qi Jing fighter was defeated, how could they continue fighting? The Yen state's officers and soldiers were elated at this moment. They all looked at Yan Chuan with shining eyes. Before Yan Emperor could open his mouth, Yan Chuan suddenly raised his head. Leave. Today, no one can leave. Yan Chuan shouted domineeringly. No one can leave. Everyone froze and looked at Yan Chuan in surprise. Yan Emperor narrowed his eyes. A hint of confusion appeared on his face. Yan Chuan, what do you mean? We have already given up on the city that we won from the bet. What else do you want? The Crown Prince of Chu shouted. Yan Chuan, are you going to break the alliance and start a war between the 5 nations? Yan Chuan, if you dare to touch a single hair of mine, the Wei nation's army will trample over the Yen capital. The Crown Princes all scolded. Humph. Yan Chuan snorted coldly. The snort was filled with majesty. The snort suppressed everyone's angry shouts. If it weren't for this Qi Jing idiot, why would I waste my time talking to you? Today, none of you can leave after humiliating the Yen kingdom. Yan Chuan shouted. After hearing Yan Chuan's words, the third senior brother not only suffered a great loss physically and mentally, but also suffered a great blow mentally. Qi Jing idiot. I'm a Qi Jing idiot. The third senior brother felt like his heart was pierced by thousands of arrows. Yan Chuan, what are you doing? The Crown Prince of Chu shouted.